Here. Okay, tonight we have four different proclamations. The first one we're going to do is for emergency preparedness planning. So I'm going to read that proclamation first, and then we'll have a presentation by our town clerk and PIO when it comes to emergencies, our public information officer, Joanna Gutierrez. So, and then David Hawks from CAL FIRE and Phil Johns from the Fire Safe Council. So, whereas one of the utmost public safety priorities of the Town Council of the Town of Paradise is to provide its citizens with genuine and practical information and disaster management tips during times of natural or man-made disasters to prevent the loss of life and property in our community. And whereas the Town of Paradise has a fully functional emergency operations center that is staffed with trained employees, and whereas the Town of Paradise has recently partnered with Butte County to provide an improved emergency notification system to the citizens of Paradise, and whereas the Town of Paradise also partners with local special districts to share resources during declared disasters. And whereas the Town Council has appointed a Fire Safe Council that actively promotes fire prevention measures within our community that includes the development and distribution of the Town of Paradise and Upper Ridge Wildland Fire and Evacuation Plan. And whereas the Town of Paradise staff provides personal preparedness planning information on the Town of Paradise website and actively encourages individuals to be proactive in preparing for all types of emergencies such as power outages, snowstorms, and wildland fires. Now therefore, I, Scott Lauder, Mayor of the Town of Paradise, declare the month of May as Personal Preparedness Planning Month and encourage all residents to plan for emergencies by establishing 3 days worth of supplies for themselves, for each family member, and each pet, to plan transportation for family, friends, and neighbors with special needs, to become familiar with the town's evacuation routes and public assembly points, and to register for the automated emergency notifications from the town's emergency notification system. So, Joanna?
Thank you, Mayor Lauder, for your declaration of May as Personal Preparedness Planning Month in Paradise. The main purpose of this presentation tonight is to encourage and remind all citizens that we have a new notification system. This system is a system that we partnered with the county, and everybody will have to re-register all their information into this new system. That's the primary purpose, and of course the secondary purpose is to remind citizens to be proactive and personally prepared to deal with emergencies as part of their daily planning. People. This is the brief explanation of how to register into the emergency notification system. We've improved our emergency system. Prior registrations are no longer valid. Citizens must register their personal contact information if they wish to receive automated emergency notifications. This is the where to log on for automated alerts. www.buttecounty.onthealert.com. Pack-it-to-go bag. Everybody should have 3 days clothing, medications, personal items, blanket, and a sleeping bag, and gas up your car. If you always refill your tank when it's half empty, then your vehicle will always be ready to go. Provisions. 3 days supply, non-perishable food, and a gallon of water, a minimum gallon of water per day per person. And for your pets, leash, crate, and food. A lot of people don't think about their pets, but you can't just toss your pet in the car because they won't take them at the shelters. So it's important to remember your pet. Bring a leash, bring their house, bring provisions. And last, take care of your property. There's a defensible space website at the CAL FIRE website, and the Fire Safe Council has information on what is defensible space and how to create your defensible space. Next up will be Fire Chief Hawks and the President of the Fire Safe Council, Phil John.
This working?
I think so.
Okay. Good. Mayor Lauder, council members, David Hawks, Paradise Fire, CAL FIRE. And I want to thank Joanna for introducing the proclamation and the council for accepting the proclamation. I just want to take the opportunity to remind town residents and residents of Butte County in general that there are a number of different resources available to them. And the first thing I want to talk about a little bit is defensible space. Now's the time that homeowners should be out there creating defensible space around their property. Obviously, the weather is getting warmer and drier. Winds are starting to kick up, but the time to do that is early in the morning, ideally. And residents should be creating that 100-foot of defensible space to reduce the fuel around their house, so an encroaching fire to their house will have less fuel to burn actively and will drop to basically what we call a surface fire, and vice versa. A fire that starts in and around the house will have less potential to spread to the wildland. On the back table in the back, I brought a number of different resources. I'd encourage area residents to take a look at those before they leave today and grab them. In particular, there's a bag here in the back, and inside of that bag is some information on Casidian that Joanna talked about, and the notification it gives you the website and some more specifics. Also in there is a Ready, Set, Go pamphlet that talks a little bit about evacuation planning, how to be prepared, a lot of the same things that Joanna reinforced in her PowerPoint, and also a little bit about defensible space. And then the final thing that's in there is equipment use and safety. We do respond, unfortunately, a lot of times to homeowners trying to do the right thing by creating defensible space, but doing it the wrong way. Using a chainsaw without an adequate spark arrestor is an example of that. Mowing dry grass in the afternoon periods when humidity's down and the grass is dried out always increases the potential for spark and the potential for fire. And we certainly don't want to be doing the right thing, but doing it the wrong way. So here's some information on how to do things the right way. And then finally, not in the packet, but on the back there are 3 different homeowners guides to Firewise landscaping. I'll kind of turn around so the audience can see. Each one, there's one on timberland, one on brushland, and one on grassland. The idea is for the property owner to pick the picture that looks most representative of their home and the surroundings of their home. So if they're living in a timbered area in town, they want to pick the timberland, and that particular brochure will go into good detail about what kinds of things they need to do to create defensible space. Not only remove needles and litter from gutters and around houses, surprisingly enough, lawn furniture or pool furniture is very susceptible to catching fire, but also reducing the fuels and the ladder fuels, not only brush, but limbing up the trees. And then if they live in the brushland, pick the brushland brochure, and then there's some grassland ones back there, but I'm pretty sure nobody in Paradise would fit that fuel type. So thank you for allowing me to address you, and I want to introduce Phil and let him talk to you.
Thanks, Chief. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. Thank you, council members. Just briefly, very briefly, tomorrow we will be launching our own website, paradisefiresafe.org or paradisefiresafe.com, where a lot of this information you will be able to get for yourselves. So be looking for that. And also we'll be doing Fire on the Ridge on June the 24th, Tuesday at CMA at 6 p.m. And a lot of the information that we've discussed briefly here will be discussed in depth. And it'll all be about people, pets, and property. And as my friend Wildfire Raccoon would say, are you ready? And that's it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Phil. Thank you, Chief. Okay, next I have a certificate of appreciation for Jamie Hartley and Laura Nelson for doing their street sweeping. Voluntarily, their company WTS, they swept the parade route, Skyway, after the Gold Nugget Parade, and they've done this for us before, and they donate those services to us. And so I want to recognize Jamie and Laura for their dedication to our community, and I know they weren't able to be here tonight. And next we have a certificate of recognition. Are they here? That's not them. No, I know those two people. That's Bill Hartley, different Hartley. Yeah.
Great guy around town.
Yes.
Ward, I think you have to get elected to sit up here in order to run the meeting. I'm not sure. I'm not sure.
All right. I have a certificate of recognition for Andrew Carl Hassick for achieving the rank of Eagle Scout, and did that by building a stone grotto for the Blessed Virgin Mary at St. Thomas More Catholic Church. And I have also a certificate of recognition for Joseph Thomas Van Door II for achieving the rank of Eagle Scout by constructing game booths for Paradise Rec and Park District. So if Joseph and Andrew can come forward, I'd be happy to present those to you. You guys want to step up and sit in our forward? All right. Okay, and next we have our 2013 Annual Solid Waste and Recycling Report given by Doug Spiker from Northern Recycling and Waste Services.
Want the light on for that one?
Good evening.
Doug?
Doesn't seem like that
A little
long
early,
ago I was
sorry.
here. It's hard to believe it's already been a year, almost to the day. Really, not much has changed as far as our programs, but we have improved, as far as our solid waste and recycling goes. In 2013, we had a diversion rate of just shy of 58%, so 57.7%. So we diverted from the landfill, from our waste stream, a little over 16,000 tons of material. And that's a combination of my next couple slides down, which kind of break that out a little bit, those programs. The landfill, we were just shy of 12,000 tons. Solid waste collection. Residentially, we're just right at 8,900 accounts, just almost 9,000. The breakdown is the 6,700 tons is residential waste stream. Commercial, we're sitting at 652 accounts and just shy of 3,500 tons. And then the roll-off drop boxes are temp services. That's a combination of our roll-off boxes and our 4 and 6-yard containers. We had 696 accounts within the year and a total of 1,500 tons. As far as the recycling programs, the breakdown and really the blue cart collection, you might think that that's a large portion of it. Well, we have a lot of yard waste here, and I think you can definitely see in the results in our clean air years past. Being a lifelong resident here myself, we're really having some clear days without the outdoor burning, and I'm sure that that's definitely the brown carts are helping the cause that both Chief Hawks and Mr. Johns were talking about. So the blue carts, 3,200 tons, and as you see, the brown cans are attributed to twice that. So 6,000 tons is just the residential yard waste. Commercial recycling, that's a combination of cardboard and the mixed containers, both the blue and we do have the white commingled also. They contribute to 732 tons. Commercial yard waste, this could be a skewed number. It's hard really for us to tell because we do pick up quite a few of these commercial accounts within our residential routes, but we try to extract some of that in the number of lifts. Each one of our trucks has a tipper counter, so every lift they lift, we know how many tips, and then we take that and they try to track their commercial accounts. So that comes to 117 tons. Our temporary roll-off container collection, a lot of this is construction demolition. A lot of it's in our scrap steel. We really try to divert a lot of that material from construction sites. We try to source separate that. So a lot of that is concrete, scrap steel, and then we've also been offering a lot of mixed recycling containers for cleanups and other projects. Yard waste drop-off facility on American Way, that's the town's vegetative waste yard. Um, This is, we actually do more of material than this 4,358 tons due to the fact we track county and town accounts that come in. So as that's coming in, the facility actually, Paradise makes up for about close to 90% of the material that goes into that facility. So again, it's a good contributing program to the fire safety of the ridge and keeping a lot of the material cleaned up. The American Way Recycling Center, this is strictly just the aluminum cans, this is the California Redemption items, some of the scrap metals we take in, and appliances, household, the batteries, things like that. And then, of course, our household hazardous waste facility. 30 tons might not seem like a lot of material, but it actually is. And that's actually material that we're also, prior to 2007, probably sitting in someone's garage or shed out back, and in the event there ever was possibly a fire, could have been quite a safety hazard to the community and those around. So those are in a nutshell our recycling programs. For the sake of safety, and I can get long-winded when it comes to solid waste and recycling, but I'm going to keep moving along. I know you have a busy agenda this evening. One of the things I really wanted to talk about, and I breezed through this, and I'm not sure if the clerk has passed.
Yeah, we did receive that.
And I apologize. I realized this morning I was going through the annual report, and that last Exhibit I really didn't make much sense to me because there was a couple pages missing out of it. It printed, the way it scanned out of order. This is the customer survey that went out through SurveyMonkey back. We sent it out in our October billing, and it went through February 2014. We had roughly 2002 customer responses. That's real close to 20% of our customer base. So that's a real good response. It was kind of difficult with this because we, as we found out also through the a couple other surveys that have been conducted on the ridge, not everyone has a computer. So we actually sent out cards. And we actually brought in an intern from Chico State that actually came in and keyed those into the system. So we were able to get quite a few more of those surveys. About 60% of the surveys were conducted by the residents on the survey. So that gives you an idea how many. We had about 40% that were actually keyed in by this intern at Chico State.
When you sent out that card, Doug, did they have to put a stamp on it to send it back, or was it prepaid?
They sent it back in with their bill statement. So when they sent that billing back, then they were able to pull those out and send them to the intern. The reason I brought in an intern is because I wanted some integrity with the reporting. So I also have quite a bit of few responses that came back in. Really very similar to the last survey we sent out in a couple years ago. A real comment was they want more yard waste cans during the fall season. They want weekly yard waste pickup during the fall season. As you know, it's pretty tough, with our bi-weekly programs that we set up to really save the roads in town. As you know, our infrastructure here just can't handle the 3 trucks up and down the roads. And then, of course, you have those trucks that would be sitting the rest of the year also not really be used. We really try to encourage individuals to use their 2 cans because they're entitled to the two yard waste cans. So when we get those responses, if we have an address or some contact information, we'll contact them and let them know of their options. For a charge, they can have the 3, 4. We have some individuals that have up to 10 cans on site, and they use them throughout the whole year. The survey had 10 questions related to the programs and overall customer satisfaction. For the sake of time, I wanted you to see those questions, but really you'll see a pattern throughout that entire survey as far as the results go. It was ranking 1 through 5, 1 being is they're basically unsatisfied with the services or programs, and then 5 being extremely satisfied with those. Our overall satisfaction resulted in an 81.7%, and that's a solid 5 response. If you take the 4 and 5s, you'll see it's close to 97%. So it's something that you know, I know we're not you know, pleasing everyone in town, and that's typically pretty difficult in a mandatory mandatory program as far as solid waste. So I think with an overall survey result, we're pleased with that. Hopefully you likewise will be pleased with that. So please take a look at the report if anyone has some questions, and I know that the report has been posted on the town's website, so the general public can also see the report. I think Clerk might put the survey as another attachment to that.
I can, I
Okay.
will, yes.
So that's definitely something to share. So with that, that's it in a nutshell.
Any questions for Doug?
I don't have any questions, but I just, again, I observed this last year. It's neat to watch your guys that go out there. They're not afraid to jump out of their truck and help out with people that can't get their boxes up. There's some people just can't do it. They just jump in there and they grab those things and take them up, and that's neat.
Thank you. Just to remind you too, our trucks are automated trucks. However, our drivers are required to get out. We're not in a curb and gutter community, so you know, there's a lot of locations where our customers might put them out a little too close to the road. Our drivers might need to put them back. Same way, if the gripper can't catch it, then by all means, every one of our employees are members of our community, so hopefully they are taking care of each and every resident right there.
Good attitudes, and I appreciate that.
I have a question too, Doug. Regarding the leaf bags, is there a possibility that we can use clear leaf bags during the busy time of the year, like in the fall of the year when we're putting leaves and pine straw out, and set those beside the can? I know it probably would create...
That's definitely something we can talk about in the future. I know that in some areas of town, and I'm sure you'll be hearing it with some other items that are on the agenda this evening, is with our trucks sitting in the middle of the road, a lot of times it creates quite an obstruction with the traffic. And for our drivers, they'd have to dump the brown cans, get out, and start emptying those bags out. Sometimes they dump out great, and we have done that on occasion, but we typically would try not to encourage that. And definitely don't put the bags inside the cans because it's a contaminant at the composting facility.
I understand that would cause some collection problems, but I've been asked that by several constituents. Thought I'd throw it out there for you tonight.
Sure. It's definitely, during the fall season, it's a problem. I have it at my home also, and
What's it cost do you know what it costs to get an additional brown can?
it's roughly $5
Yeah.
a month.
So you could save the money on plastic bags by just getting another brown can.
Sure. And typically, like I do, I have kind of a spot where I'll push everything off into one pile, and then every week, you know, it's every other week. so
Every other week, fill it.
There's every week I'm filling them up and sticking them back out, so.
Well, and I know too
It's
that,
up with my acre and a half.
well, at least then the fire department knows where the fire is going to be, is right in that pile. No, I know too that you guys are really aggressive at getting grants, a number of different kinds of grants. That's why all of the schools have been provided blue cans, a lot of other places, the museum, the Performing Arts Center, Town Hall, a lot of places, and they're free, because you've gotten grant money to do that, the oil money we get. So maybe that's something, and maybe you could work with Fire Safe Council, somebody on clean air. There might be some other monies available to maybe we can get some funding to where we could maybe subsidize those times a year, where people could have I don't know, I'm just saying it might be something to look at, if there's some way we can find some grant money out there to, for people, if they have that kind of a problem, they could get extra cans at, you know, a couple times a year at no charge. If they haven't picked up at the other times of the year, they got to pay the fee, but,
Sure.
But-
There's, as you all know, it blows my mind how many grant opportunities are out there. We just have to be creative on grabbing a hold of those and being ahead of the curve. So while you said that, we're currently on a project right now with the household hazardous waste facility that we are putting a roof structure over the facility right now. And that was 100% Cal Recycle funds that are there. And Cal Recycle, did I say Cal Fire, Cal Recycle?
No, Cal Recycle.
Cal Recycle.
So we were awarded this, and this is actually to help us actually comply with some of the stormwater standards that are ever changing. The new industrial permit regs are changing this next year. So we're hoping to be ahead of the curve, and this is one of our best management practices that we're putting in. I think it's going to be a big improvement to the facility. So when the residents come in the rainstorms, they'll actually be under a roof cover and be able to pull that material out.
The recycling efforts and the things that you guys do, and some other agencies through you, I know, those that went to the ice rink, all of that black rubber matting that was all over the concrete, it's all recycled tires, you know.
By the way-
And the park, all of the stuff in the park, the ground cover, recycled tires. So it's pretty cool stuff that we're doing.
See, I keep talking about it, see. You're going to have to pull me up.
There's-
We recycled
3 minutes.
3,500 tires just in 2013 here in Paradise. So that's
Yeah, the important thing-
quite a few that would be laying in someone's yard filling full of water and mosquitoes.
Getting mosquitoes, yeah, that's a...
Good job.
Right. Did have one other question on the household hazardous waste facility. How much are we seeing, I know you track by zip code, how much are we seeing outside of Paradise? Are we serving, you know, the Upper Ridge?
You know, it started off to be, you know, in the high teens as far as the 16, 17% of the facility users. Now we're seeing it dropping off, and it's mainly the town of Paradise residents. So it's kind of funny. We're
Do you
seeing,
think people got things cleaned
I
out?
think that you have a lot of that legacy waste that has worked its way out, but it still baffles me to see the material that we have bringing in.
It's
You
incredible.
gotta stop me.
Yeah, it's incredible.
Is it because they don't know about it, you think?
You know, I think that when we first started out, in 2008, when we had a one-day event,
Yeah.
it was unbelievable. We had,
Oh,
I think
it
it was
was-
3,000 vehicles
Yeah.
came through, and
Yeah.
it was over 30 tons of material.
Yeah,
It's
it
more
was-
than what we did in a year, one day.
Yeah, it was, I was
It was
working
a
that
historic
day.
day because that's the same day that the
Fire
Lightning
started.
Complex fire started. And it was just, if you recall, it was 105
Yep.
degrees that day.
That day,
So,
yeah, that day, people brought in stuff. I don't know if some people remember, there were these little tin cans about yay big of freezer water, blue ice stuff, and I got an oil bottle from like 1930, you know, full of oil still. But they brought in stuff that was really, really ancient, things they don't even make anymore. Yeah, it was incredible.
our household hazardous waste facility that the town of Paradise has is really something to be proud of. It's, Cal Recycle comes up, and they're always impressed that with the small community that we are, we have world-class programs here. And as far as the grants that we have acquired, they're pleased with the fact that the grant funds that have built these facilities and that have put these programs together are self-sustaining. They continue. Where a lot of communities, they take the free money, and it's tough for me to say, as conservative as I am with our state situation as far as the budgets go, but we actually, Paradise, it's not Northern, this is Paradise, the community is actually using those facilities, and that's something to be proud of.
I think the other thing that's interesting is I've asked about, you know, the county on, when we dump in the landfill, whatever goes in there. They added, a number of years ago, they added a surcharge on there to pay for household hazardous waste facility, their facility down in Chico. Now, we're not getting any of that money still, right? The county is, still won't, even though we're servicing it, but their response is, they're still getting the same volume down there in Chico. And so all of the stuff that we're pulling out of the waste stream now is.
Yeah,
was-
and they actually buried that fee. It used to be a separate fee that you could see in their budgets. They actually have buried that now in operational
Don't want us to
costs.
ask for any of that money.
Yeah, it's,
The long and the short is, the town of Paradise did a very fine job in setting the programs up back in 2005, 2006, when they're pre-planning, because I think the household hazardous waste facility is definitely a shining, portion of our program.
and that's one of the things that, just for the audience and everybody at home watching, one of the things we did when we wrote this franchise and went to mandatory garbage collection and we put a lot of things in there. They had to cite a household hazardous waste here in this community, so people didn't have to drive to Chico to the airport. They had to, they had to buy things locally, they had to buy their fuel locally, they had to spend money locally. And those were all part of the RFP that we put out there for whoever was going to get the job, and Northern's done a great job, but I mean, at least the town did that. We said, if you want our business, you're going to have to spend money in our community and be good stewards of our community, and it's worked out really wonderfully.
So, yeah, everybody, the call center is in Paradise. That was one of the things that's important, that we have people.
Waste management, where are you at in Texas?
Yeah, you'd get somebody in Texas. Maybe you'd be lucky and get somebody in Sacramento that had no idea where Paradise was. So anyway, that's been a tremendous benefit to the community and the involvement that Northern gets involved in so many events, making zero waste events. So thank you, Doug.
Thank you.
Do we have a card?
One card from Ward Habriel.
Of course.
Thank you. I can keep this to less than 3 minutes. Don't turn the clock on. Look, you might recall, sure you do, several years ago when we were talking as a town in the PAC about what we can do with our contract for waste haulers, we had a great exchange of questions and answers, and basically the public was saying what you just said. That's what we want. And I think it's right for us, for a council and for the town to recognize what Doug has done within our WS, but also to praise the town and the council for the decision to go in that direction, to do that kind of a thing. It was very different than what we had before. It was a huge change. There were a lot of people who said, I like my driver, don't get rid of my driver. I don't like that when I have to put the can, I want them to come get. We made the change, the community eventually accepted it, and it has in fact worked. So you all get some praise, not just Doug. Beyond that, remember, I'm a retired environmental educator. I worked for StopWaste.org for many years, and I looked at programs all around this state. We were based in Alameda County. One of the things we weren't doing here many years ago was meeting the 50% diversion. And when we started looking at changing the contract here and seeing who we can get to do recycling service and brown can service for us, and our NRWS steps up and says, yes, we can do that, Paradise then becomes the leader in Butte County to go above and beyond that 50%. Some areas of Butte County are still struggling. We're leading the pack here. They're setting an example for other haulers to say, hey, look, Little Oak Community Paradise can do this. We should too. In fact, if you look at all the statistics, I know we see them when we go to the local task force. In Northern California, Paradise is one of the leading communities in waste diversion. I don't know if we'll ever get to 75. 75 was not written in as a new ordinance. It's a new guideline in the state Cal Recycle mandates. But I think with a community like we have and a company like NRWS, if they say, hey, let's get to 75, we'll come up with creative ways to do that. So I'm saying thank you for the council in town for making that kind of decision. It's the right thing to do, and it has worked. Thank you.
Thank you, Ward. Okay, we have no items deferred from previous meetings. We have the consent calendar. One roll call vote will be taken for all items placed on the consent calendar. Do I have any cards on the consent?
No cards on the consent calendar.
Okay, anybody have something that needs to come off?
I just have a question. Do we know why there's that roll call on 3C?
Accidentally left that on there. Yeah,
Oh, okay.
That, just cross that off. Yeah.
Cross it off.
Inadvertent.
Okay.
Okay.
I move we accept the consent calendar.
Second.
A motion by Vice Mayor Bullen and a second by Councilwoman Jones?
And the roll call vote. Vice Mayor Boland?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones? Councilmember Culleton? I did it again, excuse me. Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Rawlings?
Aye.
And Mayor Lauder?
Aye. Thank you. Okay, we have one public hearing tonight, and please take note of item 4, our public hearing procedures. So we're continuing the public hearing from a March 11th, 2014 to a date certain to allow the Planning Commission and the Town Council opportunities to consider and possibly adopt zoning code text amendments regarding fences, gates, and other barriers within private road easements. I think I just,
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I'll
Right to the
take care
attorney?
of that. No, I'll just go ahead and do that. Just as you stated, we're just asking that this public hearing be continued until the Planning Commission and the Town Council can adopt the wording on the ordinance. So we're just asking that to be continued to August 12th at the regular Town Council meeting.
okay, do we need just a consensus from the council on that, Mr. Attorney? What would you like?
Well, you don't need a roll call vote.
Roll call.
Consensus would be fine.
So consensus of the council to continue this public hearing? Okay,
And that's the appeal hearing.
That's the
That is the
appeal
appeal hearing, yes.
yeah. Okay, so item 5A is continued. Any cards on?
No
5A?
cards.
Okay, thank you. Item 6 is public communication. This is the time for members of the audience who have completed a request to address council card and given it to the clerk to present items not on the agenda. Comments should be limited to a maximum of 3 minutes duration. The town council is prohibited by state law from taking action on any item presented if it is not listed on the council. Do I have any cards tonight?
I have 2 cards tonight. The first card is from Shelley Dutro.
Shelley, come forward, please.
Thank you for your time. I'm here tonight to talk about Blazin' Jays, which is a new business located at 6226 Skyway, directly across from the Boys and Girls Club Teen Center. They're a smoke shop. Their website from the related existing Chico store location quotes the Blazin' Jays Smoke Shop carries everything the smoker needs, from heady pieces to clothing, hookahs, and more. They do not carry cigars or cigarettes, interestingly enough. There are displays of water pipes and other drug paraphernalia in the glass store windows for all to see. And I'm going to give each of you copies, and there's photos in here. I find it hard to comprehend that the town of Paradise would allow a permit or license to this business, especially in this location. This is an insult to employees of the Boys and Girls Club and to all those in this community who spend their careers educating children and providing them with alternative ways to spend their time and guide them away from trouble and away from drug use. If nothing else, is this not a moral conflict? Does the quaint little town of Paradise need to have this type of business on their main street? What does this portray to visitors and potential future business owners? I'm asking the members of the Paradise Town Hall to review this material in the location, site, and to do the right thing in our community and have this business moved. I've also found on our Town of Paradise website a ordinance, Paradise, California Code of Ordinance, under Public Peace, Morals, and Welfare, and a section on drug paraphernalia. And I won't bother to read it all to you, it's attached, but one of the paragraphs says, the proliferation of the display of drug paraphernalia in retail stores within the town and the distribution of such paraphernalia would intensify and otherwise compound the problem of illegal drug use of controlled substances within this community. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you for coming and speaking to us. Mr.
Well,
Moore, you can...
this subject matter has been preempted by state law, and the town has no authority to regulate it outside of their state laws that prohibit it. And so we'd have to, it's a crime to sell certain vices that are used to deliver drugs. However, it's not that easy to prove, and so you have to, a hookah pipe that you mentioned can be used for smoking other things besides marijuana or whatever. So there always this law enforcement issue, but it's a police issue at this point in time. It's not a zoning matter, so we can't require someone to relocate just because they sell these items. But it is a crime if you can prove it. And state law prohibits us from adopting any sort of license or permit associated with selling those items. So it's a little different than what you indicated.
Well, according to the ordinance in there, it talks about...
That ordinance has no power at this point in time. The state can preempt an area of the law, and the state legislature has acted.
Mr. Mayor, I'll talk to the police chief if you'd like after the meeting and see what we can do. Anything?
Yeah, I know we've had some discussions about it. It hasn't flown under the radar with us. I think all of us on that council, like I say, we can't take any action, but I can tell you, you're not the first person that's talked to us about this.
Is it possible for the citizens to take an action?
I don't believe there's anything that the citizens do other than, vote with their money and support a business that they don't agree with, and hopefully that's that's the best thing that anybody can do. Is if it doesn't thrive, it won't survive. So, thank you.
My second card is from Ward Haber.
Hey, just up front, I want to try and have more positive things for a change. Is that all right?
Okay, you get 5 minutes for that.
Oh, no, wait a minute, no, overruled.
Use your name and not in vain. Is that okay, Woody? Really, about the parade. Our garden club had an event there. We had a vehicle decorated. We get to the reviewing stand, and there's a little bit of text that's read. And Matt Vaughn from Channel 12 reads it, and then Woody chimes in and goes on and on about how great the garden club is, how they beautify this town, the daffodils across the ridge, all ad lib. And everybody that's around us that's passing out little cards, they're thinking, you know that guy? Do you know the guy? And then he says my name. It's like, we got a free commercial from Woody Culleton. Thank you. Yeah.
Do good work.
And you help. Second thank you also to you, sir, and I don't mind saying this publicly. Your counsel and direction with my small role in the melodrama came off as a rather large success, thanks to what you told me. And I appreciate it. And I don't mind saying that in public.
Any other cards? Anybody else didn't have an opportunity to fill out a card? Okay. We will close the public communication portion and move on to council consideration. Adopt Resolution 14-08, a resolution supporting the submission of 3 grant applications for California Department of Transportation Active Transportation Program, ATP Cycle 1 Call for Projects.
Mr. Mark Maddox, our town engineer.
Thank you, Town Manager Lauren Gill, and good evening, Council. Good evening, Mr. Mayor. As tonight we've had a theme of grant-funded projects, tonight is a unique instance where several different projects align in one evening in different phases individually. Tonight our first presentation is on the Active Transportation Program grant applications. The Active Transportation Program is a new federally and state-funded grant opportunity which has consolidated previous programs such as Safe Routes to School, bicycle transportation, and transportation enhancements. The overall program objective, in short, for ATP is to increase non-motorized modes of travel and improve the public health. Our proposed projects for submission under this program include the Pearson Road Safe Routes to School Connectivity Project. This project proposes to construct sidewalks, curb and gutter, and drainage improvements on both sides of Skyway, especially between Black Olive Drive and Academy Drive. When the Pearson...
Pearson, you said Skyway.
Oh, I'm sorry, Pearson Road, between Black Olive and Academy Drive. When the Pearson Recreation Signalization project was completed last year, we heard a lot of feedback that project was great, but there's a missing gap in between the Memorial Trailway and our new project. So this project really aims to infill that gap and also construct sidewalk facilities on the south side of Skyway south side of Pearson between Skyway and Almond Street. The second application is the Maxwell Drive Safe Routes to School project, again proposing to provide the safe and appropriate infrastructure for our students to commute to and from school, sidewalks on the west side of Maxwell, curb and gutter on both sides, and proposing to add bike lanes on Maxwell Drive in that area. And our last project has the potential to complement the Downtown Paradise Safety Project if approved. This project proposes to remove and replace non-ADA compliant sidewalks and driveways. This is a mobility project and remove obstructions in the downtown and really create a finished product if the downtown safety project is approved. So again, searching for the additional funds to make our local dollars go further, but this specific request is for over $2.5 million, which has a zero match requirement because the town of Paradise qualifies as a disadvantaged community on a statewide level using our median income level rate, or median income. We are requesting a resolution of support for the project applications, which are to be submitted to the Caltrans headquarters in Sacramento on May 19th. And we will likely hear if our projects are selected for funding in the fall of this year. With that, I'd like to say thank you for your time and open up to any questions.
I have a question. So in that first slide or something, you said this is like safe routes to school and highway, what was the other thing?
It is consolidated.
Transportation enhancements.
Yes.
Is that only pedestrian stuff?
Well, this program is only funding non-motorized modes of travel.
What does transportation enhancement mean?
Transportation enhancements used to be a more beautification, transportation, landscaping element program, but funding types like that have really gone by the wayside for more infrastructure-related bare necessity projects.
It just seems almost ridiculous to me, you know, that they'll give me money to go put a sidewalk on a road that's falling apart. Thinking of Maxwell, one of the high school. The road is atrocious, you know, and it's great if we're going to get put in sidewalks. I understand all that, but the fact that there's no funding out of this.
Maybe it could be one of those things where we can use some of our local funds or gas tax to do that if the council wanted us to look for other funds to do the roads.
Well, whenever you get into a construction project and where you're tying up traffic or you're going in there and doing stuff, there's an economy of scale there. I mean, when you got people out there cutting into the roadways and doing one thing or another, it just makes a lot of sense to do it all rather than do part of it, you know, and come back in a couple of years. And
You're right, especially most of the roads that we have are falling apart.
I think that rough road probably keeps the high schoolers from going too fast.
Well, I got a comment from somebody, I got a comment from somebody that said if we are going to do the roadway, they're advocating for putting undulations in, or speed bumps, you know.
That's not going to happen.
Well, why not?
Well, I don't know.
It could happen.
On Pearson, you're talking about tying the two together from the park to what we just did on Pearson.
Correct.
And then what would that be, west side of Pearson?
South side of Skyway, south side of Pearson to Skyway.
Yes.
It'd be that side of doing the sidewalks all the way to Skyway.
Correct.
Okay.
So essentially, this is the missing piece between Skyway and Clark. We have all the infrastructure in between. We have a trailway, which is a perfect asset for non-motorized modes of travel. And to have missing gaps, it really needs to be corrected. And so this is a way we can move forward with it. And confident, especially the Pearson Road project, is a very fundable project using these objectives.
And this is just to move forward with applying for these grants.
Yes, the grants are due May 19th. This is an optional resolution that council is considering adopting, but when we provide documentation of the public participation and the public support for the community, it really helps that consideration when our application is being reviewed.
Thank you.
When we did, oh, I'm sorry, go ahead.
I just need to say up front that I'm abstaining from the discussion and the vote on this item because the grant applications are being submitted to Caltrans and it is a competitive process. I have this conflict of interest for 7 more weeks.
Okay.
When we did the Pearson Road project with some monies we got a few years ago, and we built the sidewalks on the other side of the street, the north side, and we did half the roadway. And with the idea that when we got some more money, we're going to be able to do the other half the roadway. Again, there's no money here to do that roadway. We're just going to do the sidewalks on that
That's
side.
correct, but as the town manager stated, when we can obtain these grant opportunities to fund the bike lanes and the sidewalks, and we have a contractor mobilized, it's a perfect opportunity to partner local money in addition and address that road at the same time. So that can be
When you
done.
put that bike lane in from Skyway to Black Olive, is that going to eliminate a lane of traffic?
Currently, there is no bike lane proposed for Pearson between Skyway and Black Olive. It's simply extending the Memorial Trailway access bike lanes all the way to the schools.
John, did you have any questions for him before I?
Oh, I was just going to make a motion.
And did we get support from the school district on these?
We did get
projects?
support from Paradise Unified School District. We're working with the individual schools as well. We've already received numerous letters of support from Feather River Hospital, Paradise Citizens Alliance, Butte County Association of Governments, just to name a few. We've got a really strong application and support for this project.
Okay, all right, very good. Well, I'll entertain a motion then.
I would make a recommendation, a motion that we accept the agenda item 7A as written, and that we...
Adopt Resolution 1408?
1408, yes, sir.
And I have no cards on,
You have no
I have no cards. but-
Okay. Anybody wanted to get up and object to this? Well, come forward and state your name for the record. And if you do have a card on any other items, please take an opportunity to turn them into the clerk.
My name is Mildred Asselin. First of all, I'd like to say about the survey,
I'm sorry, which survey?
survey about the Skyway project.
Okay, this is not about the Skyway project at this point, ma'am. This is about a grant application for safe routes to school on Pearson Road and improving Maxwell Drive by the high school and replacing some sidewalks in the downtown.
When do you talk about Skyway?
Two more items.
Two more items down. You're just a little bit early, but we'll keep your card and mark it. Okay. We'll be here. Okay. Anybody else on this item? Okay. So,
John made a motion?
John made a motion, and
Second.
so motion by Rollins, second by Culleton.
To adopt Resolution 1408.
Roll call,
Vice
please.
Mayor Bowen?
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Abstain.
Councilmember Rawlings?
Aye. Excuse me.
And Mayor Lauter.
Aye. Okay, thank you.
I would like to thank Colette Curtis, who worked on that grant application, those 3 grant applications with Mark, and actually did most of the work on that. Yeoman's job.
Thank you, Colette. Hopefully you're watching this.
Good
on TV.
presentation.
Yes, good job. Item 7B, approve the program supplement agreement numbers 12N, 13N, 14N, and 15N to administering agency state agreement for 035425R for federal aid projects to assure receipt of federal funds in an approximate amount of $2.4 million and adopt the following 4 resolutions. Adoption will approve 10% funding match, which will be budgeted between local gas tax and local transportation funds. You want to explain all those? That's probably easier than me trying to read all of them to everybody.
So what I would like to say about this agenda item is that Mark Maddox, our town engineer, applied for 5 grant awards last year. We received the funding for 4 out of 5, which is excellent, which is amazing. And I'll let him talk a little bit about these exciting grant programs that are coming to our community very soon.
Good evening, council, again. As we alluded to, this is a different program from the active transportation. This is a different funding source, and it's the Highway Safety Improvement Program. This is a federally funded program which aims to achieve significant reduction in traffic fatalities and serious injuries on all public roads. And it requires that a data-driven strategic approach to improving highway safety. In 2013, as we already mentioned, we submitted 5 applications after doing a town-wide analysis on collision history and concentrations on our local streets. The project selected for funding, first we have the Cypress Curve Realignment Project, which will be Clark Road between Adams Road and Kimberly Lane. The scope of this project includes improving the horizontal and vertical curve alignments, widening the shoulders, and various drainage improvements. The estimated approved project cost is $1.2 million. The second project is upgrading our Town of Paradise traffic signals. All 15 signals receive some varying degree of work, but the main scope of the project includes adding battery backup for our traffic signals, so when a weather event knocks out power to the area, that we have a backup system in place to keep that signal running. We can also, the project adds emergency vehicle detection, and this is actually very crucial to emergency response because when we equip our traffic signals with this preemption system, it allows emergency responders to emit a flash or some sort of signal that communicates with the traffic signal controller, and it serves that direction which the officer is responding from to turn green, and really helps that response in reducing response time. And lastly, the scope includes pedestrian countdown heads for crosswalks, and what that means is each crosswalk at each signal will have a countdown that tells you how much time is remaining before the signal phasing is going to change out of your favor. The total project cost for this project is $313,000. The Pearson Road shoulder widening project, which was also selected for funding, includes widening Pearson Road between Clark and Pence, which we will have pavement repairs, as we mentioned about partnering earlier, is we will look to repair those failed areas with our local dollars, widen the shoulders and microsurface the roadway, and stripe reduced lane widths and add bicycle lanes so we have that continuous bicycle path all the way from Pence Road to Academy currently, or I guess the Trailway, and have that network as we're combining efforts through the previous discussion item. But this project cost is $413,000. Lastly, the Clark Road Safety Enhancements Project is Clark Road between Billy and Wagstaff. Again, we are looking to microsurface the roadway and add the center two-way left turn lane and construct ADA ramps and possibly splitter islands to address the left turn issues that we're experiencing there in front of Kmart. The total project cost is $544,000. A quick summary of the project costs is each item here on this graph shows the project federal aid and the local match. I apologize on the contrast, but the goal is, or the takeaway, is that we have $2.5 million of funded projects that will cost the Town of Paradise only $240,000 over the next 4 years. So it's a great opportunity to make those local dollars go farther. Tonight, we are requesting Council approve the program supplement agreements and adopt a resolution authorizing the town manager to execute said agreements. And if approved, we can begin reimbursable preliminary engineering for each project immediately. Each project has different varying levels of scope and complexity, so our estimated construction schedule is as follows, with the signal upgrades and Pearson widening for fiscal year 15-16, and likely last the Cypress Curve realignment project in fiscal year 17-18. With that, I'd like to thank you for your time again and open up to any questions.
I had a question. On the Clark Road safety enhancement, the description included modifying the striping layout.
So-
What's involved there?
So we have the existing four-lane layout and constricted road width with the sidewalks. And so we are actually proposing a reduction in lanes in that area to add that center two-way left turn lane to facilitate that safety enhancement. Well, when you microservice the roadway, we'll be able to stripe it.
Section lanes, what does that mean?
Where does it start, Mark?
Oh, it starts from Wagstaff to Armstrong, at least. And the road capacity and road traffic volumes in there really is very feasible to implement that road configuration.
So what would the configuration be after you're finished?
One lane in each direction with a center two-way left turn lane.
And wider shoulders?
Wider shoulders, yes. In areas. It gets really tight there near Armstrong, where the lanes barely fit in that area, but...
Now, when you say Armstrong, I'm thinking of where the church,
past-
is that called Armstrong, that street? Okay, all right. Yeah, okay. I was thinking it had a different name.
You'll see in our next presentation how the downtown segment has exhibited the highest collision rate in Paradise. This next little segment is number 2.
because
we hear them, I see
that,
them.
we have cobblestone right there, and it just, it's a monthly occurrence. I mean,
Yeah.
I was over there working the other day, and there was another one while we were working there. It's just.
Yeah.
Well, I have a question about, why is Cypress Curve not until 1718?
Well,
There's a lot of wrecks there, everywhere.
There is a lot of wrecks
Boom,
there.
boom, boom.
That
ditch.
schedule isn't based off of priority, it's really based off complexity and the number of phases we need to get towards construction. First, we'll begin preliminary engineering for all of these projects, but specifically the Cypress Curve project also requires confirmation of existing right-of-way, and we have budgeted right-of-way funds in case additional right-of-way needs to be acquired. That's not the current understanding when we did the grant research and the project analysis, but between preliminary engineering, right-of-way, and getting to construction, we have a longer timeline because of the complexity of that project.
I understand that, but I know that that project has been studied, and we did a lot of work on right-of-ways and everything years past.
The ultimate objective is to get these projects constructed as soon as possible. The estimated schedule is just that, an estimate. We'll be working hard, and if we have less barriers between now and then, the construction date
Do you
can
have
move up.
collision data on that Cypress Curve?
Oh, yes.
Yeah, there's a lot of wrecks there.
Yeah, and we've had...
And we had fatalities
We've had a
there.
number of fatalities
Two
there. and-
fatalities within a two-year period, I believe.
And for those of us that have driven snowplows, we know how many cars slide off into the ditch there. I think Lieutenant Rowe can, how many vehicles have slide off there into the ditch, and then ties up traffic and ties up
So
our
there's a
personnel.
possibility, if everything was a perfect world, and gee, all the right-of-ways were already have already been set up, that could happen sooner.
Exactly, yes. Yep.
Okay.
Can I say one more thing?
Certainly.
I think that all of these projects, all four of them are really good projects. They have excellent safety benefits for the town, and I just want to commend Mark for going after these grants. The last item was all pedestrian, this is all safety. There's a variety of different kinds of grants. I know it takes a lot of time and effort to put in grant applications, but you're really benefiting the town of Paradise, so thank you.
Thank you, Councilmember Jones.
You know, and I'll add to that, because when I go to BCAG and stuff, I've talked to some other engineers that have things to do, and they, you know, what Mark has been able to do in getting 4 out of 5 grants, no other jurisdiction gets that. They might get one. You probably know this from your
And
seat.
actually, the
So it's just hats off
fifth
to you.
one, we're kind of covering that with the Maxwell, because that was trying to improve pedestrian safety near the schools, and so we're covering some of that. That was stuff that I would...
Not only a leader in weight and recycling, but, you know, our town engineer now, we're just...
Mark, I had a question on the, and I'll give you gentlemen an opportunity to jump in, but I want to do it before I forget. On the emergency vehicle signalization, I know there's two different systems, kind of competing systems out there. There's one that detects sirens and turns the lights to red, and then there's the one that requires the flash. And our concern, you know, my concern was, and some of the discussion was, when we have out of the area responders, and then, you know, does the sheriff's department need to have them, and CHP, and all the ambulances, and everything else, where everybody's got a siren. So how did we come to that conclusion, or have we made that decision?
We have not made that decision. No item in the grant application and funding agreement precludes us from taking a certain route on how we do the emergency vehicle detection. There is also a GPS alternative as well that's competing in the market also. So the good thing about these grants is they all include preliminary engineering funds that reimburse the town and consultants that we can look at if we need help on these projects and make those decisions at a time later when we get there.
I know that, you know, Chico was going through that, which one they were using. I think they went to the flash units. But again, that's something mechanical. I kind of like the idea of the siren one, because it's got, you know, if your flash unit isn't working, every signalized intersection you go through in your vehicle, it's not working. Whereas with the siren thing, if it's working at that, you know, if it fails at one signal, it still work at the other ones. So Okay, good. And John?
I can say is I would just like to deal with Councilmember Jones was saying about the success that Mark's been having with getting these grants, and he's definitely a credit to our town, and certainly appreciate driving on new streets and seeing. We had a couple of months ago where one of the citizens stood up and said he wanted to see some sidewalks and bike lanes. Well, it's happening, and thank you.
Thank you.
Mr. Boland, do you have anything to add? I think that's going to be exciting if we can cut down on those wrecks going in and out of Cobblestone and the Kmart Center. That's a big one, because boy, we can hear them clear down there where I work. So, okay, I will open this up to the public for comment. Do you have any cards on?
No cards on 7B.
Okay. Anybody want to come forward and talk about this? Okay, thank you. Then, can we take
All at one time?
all at one time?
Yes.
Is that fine? Okay. So I will entertain a motion to hit 1414 through 1418 all at once.
Approval.
Second.
Motion by Jones, second by Culleton.
How did you get 1414 through 1418? You mean 17?
Well, no, there's the one on the next page, I think.
Oh, you just want to do 14.9 through 14.12 on this one.
Oh, you are correct, because I'm sorry, yes.
Yeah, those are the 4 projects.
I was looking at the next one, yeah. 14.9 to 14.13, thank you, or 14.12, thank you for catching that.
Okay, so motion by Jones and a second by Culleton, and the roll call vote. Vice Mayor Bowling?
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Rawlings?
Aye.
And Mayor Lauder.
Aye.
4 resolutions adopted unanimously.
Okay, now we will move on to item 7C. Adopt resolution 1413, resolution of Town Council approving plan specifications, estimates for the downtown safety project and authorizing advertisement for bids on the project.
And this is the culmination of 6 months of work. So we're going to ask the council tonight to make a decision on that. And again, presenting our esteemed town engineer, Mark Maddox.
Busy night. So, as Lauren, the town manager mentioned, we are concluding really the culminating event here for our public outreach and design process for the Downtown Paradise Safety Project. Quickly, our project timeline and overview dates back to 2009, actually, when council adopted the Skyway Corridor Study. And this study analyzed the Skyway through town limits and looked at the adjacent commercial areas and determined that the road configuration can change based on the needs of the community. In April 2012 and throughout 2012, we obtained a similar highway safety improvement grant, just as we just discussed on our previous item, is for this project in $900,000 in federal aid for the engineering countermeasures of implementing the road diet, coordinating the signals, and enhancing the pedestrian crosswalks. April 2013, council approved the grant agreement, and in January of this year, we acknowledged the transportation and safety study, and we commissioned staff to undertake an extensive public outreach process with monthly reports back on that process. So we're going to give a high-level overarching view of the project existing conditions versus the proposed project. We've done many slides and presentations before on the extreme details, but we can say about the current design is that the 4-lane layout promotes high speeds, and it also contributes to the highest collision rate in the town of Paradise. The dual threat pedestrian crosswalks are a real issue, especially in our downtown, where we have 2 lanes in each direction, and when any motorist yields to a pedestrian, it has the ability to obstruct the view of another oncoming motorist for that same crossing pedestrian. This is a very unique situation, and it's only something that is observed when we have multiple lanes per direction. Our current design creates congestion for all left turns, especially during peak periods, where the quote-unquote fast lane becomes a stop-and-go lane during the peak periods. It's really prohibitive or counterproductive as far as getting traffic through the downtown. Our current design restricts parking for businesses and creates an overall highway atmosphere to the road. Now, back to the crux of this project is just like the others, we're based on collision data. So quickly, our updated data from Neal Road to Elliott Road, 2003 to 2012, we've had 125 injury collisions between Neal and Elliott. But specifically in the downtown, between Pearson and Elliott, in the last 3 years, we've had 58 total collisions. And even since we last reported to council in January on collision data, when we had 43, we've had 15 more collisions, I believe, since December 1st of this last, of 2013. So if you take those 58 collisions over the last 3 years, we've had about 1 collision every 19 days between Pearson and Elliott. Our project objectives and really moving forward is to improve safety, without a doubt. And we can do that by those 3 countermeasures we've already discussed on the crosswalks, coordinating the signals, and adding that center turn lane by reducing the number of travel lanes. And each of those countermeasures have different purposes and objectives and how it improves safety, but it's the overall package together that creates the safest approach to our downtown. How will the project features change the course from what we have been observing in the past? Well, first, our crosswalk here at Town Hall, we are proposing to relocate and enhance this crosswalk with a refuge island and flashing beacons. The refuge island is critical. It allows the pedestrian to treat the road as 2 one-way streets and cross the street one half at a time, with the center area to rest and make good decisions crossing the street. In the downtown, our crosswalks are also enhanced, but we are reducing from 6 uncontrolled crosswalks to 4. We are proposing sidewalk bulb outs, which improve visibility and communication. We have flashing beacons, and we are removing that dual threat potential by reducing the number of lanes. So the controlling vehicle in the travel lane has the ability to yield, and requires every vehicle behind it to yield to that pedestrian crossing the street. We've kind of touched on this, is really the objective is to improve that pedestrian-motorist communication. We need to take out the variable and the unpredictable nature of, is that pedestrian going across the street, or are they just standing there? Or is this car in front of me turning left, or are they yielding to a pedestrian? Can I change lanes and pass? So that's that's really important about the communication between pedestrians and motorists as we use our roadway. In addition, improving on pedestrian safety, we are adding a buffer between motorists and downtown patrons from about 5.5 feet from when you can open your door safely without it getting taken off. We are proposing to upgrade street corners to current ADA standards. We have retrofitting existing streetlights to LED while installing 3 new streetlights for crosswalk coverage. As far as motorist safety, when we reduce the number of travel lanes from 4 to 3 and adding that center to a left turn lane, we can achieve a 35% crash reduction factor moving forward. It also eliminates left turns from that fast lane, that stop and go. It really blocks up traffic in the downtown, where one person yielding and waiting to turn left onto Boquest is blocking people trying to turn into Les Schwab. And so when we have that center turn lane, people making turns in the downtown have a safe area to pull over, make a good decision, find a safe gap, and not block the whole flow of traffic behind them. Again, it eliminates unnecessary passing maneuvers while effectively reducing speeds in the downtown. This project modifies traffic signals and flow by optimizing timing and coordinating those signals, especially during peak hours. Essentially, we offset the reduction in lanes with the added green time to get that traffic moving through the downtown, especially during those peak hours. Other project features, we can exchange the highway feel for a downtown pedestrian safety or pedestrian-friendly environment. We can add on-street parking to areas previously prohibited by red curb for those daylighting areas where, when we don't have the bulb out, to get the line of sight and the visibility, we have to have at least 20 feet of red curb on either side of each crosswalk. But when we have the bulb outs, pedestrians can use the bulb out, use the beacon, and there's added parking to be had in the downtown. The pavement is proposed to be resurfaced for a 10-year life extension, and it also provides an opportunity for future beautification in the downtown. What are the impacts and expectations if this project is approved? Well, first, we know, and we have coordinated with emergency services, and we know that there's little to no adverse impacts to emergency response and/or evacuation. We also know that time of travel is going to be typically unchanged through off-peak periods. During peak periods, however, we have determined that travel time can increase by up to 30 seconds during those peak hours. So it's really a minimal offset for the safety benefit on what we're looking to do for motorists traveling through the downtown. It will allow left turns to and from Skyway. The change from having to clear 3 lanes for a left turn, or possibly at least 2, for one is better, it's safer, but it's still going to require time to wait to make that safe maneuver. And those lane drops, when we have the transition from our 4-lane layout or 5-lane layout, the lane drops between northbound Pearson at Skyway and southbound Skyway at Elliott will require an adjustment period where people expect if they're going through the downtown, they're going to choose the number 1 lane heading north rather than waiting in the number 2 lane and trying to merge at the last minute. So we expect that'll be a behavior change over the months after the project is approved. As far as the public outreach process, we understand that this is such a huge impact to our community, and really council emphasized the importance of reaching out and doing our research and getting in touch and making sure all alternatives have been explored and we've considered all aspects of the project. We have held multiple focus workshops, business and safety focus workshops. We've had 4 council information updates, multiple civic group presentations, individual calls, emails, and appointments throughout the last 5 months. We've maintained a comprehensive project website where you can download anything from the grant application itself to the transportation and safety study recently approved by Town Council. In addition, this project has had substantial media coverage, varying nightly news reports, newspaper articles, radio interviews, and so really this project has gotten out into the community for consideration. But one overarching comment throughout all of the public outreach efforts is we can convey that something needs to change, that Skyway today is not meeting the needs of our community, especially our downtown businesses and those walking and using the actual downtown for what it's meant to be used for. The design adjustments during the outreach and council updates process was a fluid effort. We reevaluated proposed parking layouts and can report that the final design has 76 marked parking stalls, whereas today we have 60 unmarked spaces. We have relocated the Town Hall crosswalk and median location, and I'd like to thank Councilmember Culleton for really encouraging staff to coordinate with the adjacent businesses and finding that optimal location to provide the least impact for left turns on those driveways in the Town Hall area. The downtown crosswalk locations, we've looked and equally spaced those and reduced those with great detail and a decision-making process. We've explored the possibility of doing or installing crosswalk coordination or crosswalk signals, considered a downstream merge for the lane reductions. We've added streetlights for safer crosswalks. And lastly, and most importantly on this process, is we've added the coordination of the Neal Road signal, which effectively reduces the afternoon queue lengths, the stacking the lines for the green light at Pearson Road. And so with that Neal Road coordination, in addition to Pearson and Elliott, really allows us to intelligently frame the downtown, make sure the right amount of traffic is flowing through, and providing those gaps and that effective time to get to your destination. The financial impact of the project, here is a look at all the project phases, including preliminary engineering, construction engineering, and a construction contingency. We have a $1 million construction project, which, well, I guess I'll go into the construction funding in a minute, but first, how this $1.3 million total project cost is funded is $900,000 federally funded, with a local contribution of $335,000 identified through the local Streets and Roads Transit Fund. And again, on those construction costs, we took a deeper look into that, and it's important for council to know where that $1 million contract is going. 34% into road improvements that are required, and almost necessary now, today. We have areas where we have more crack seal than road. And so this road really needs this asphalt treatment. In addition, we have the pedestrian facilities. Upgrading the street corners to ADA compliance is something we need to do anyways. And so really, almost 65% of this project is something that really benefits the town of Paradise to do regardless of the funding source. So the opportunity to use $900,000 in federal aid really is a great... It's okay. Yeah.
Good one, Bill.
So to have the grant funding to help our local dollars go farther is a huge asset to the town, and this project is no exception. Schedule and next steps. We have received federal approval on May 5th to proceed to construction, which is a huge hurdle, and really pleased to report to council that this project, if approved tonight, is ready to go for advertisement tomorrow. If we do advertise tomorrow and we are published in the paper twice, over the next 3 weeks, we can award a contract in late June and begin construction early August and conclude in late September. And my last point on schedule is when the construction is complete, that's not the end. Is with the signal coordination and the intelligent way we're approaching this, is we can monitor, adjust as necessary and repeatedly, and especially in the flow of traffic through the downtown. So tonight, after many presentations, countless slides, numerous public meetings, safety reports, and everything all leading up to tonight, we really want to represent this as an opportunity to improve safety while still meeting the needs of everyday commuters, downtown businesses, and patrons alike. The project focus is absolutely safety and should not be considered a capacity-increasing or time-saving project. In short, the project facilitates predictable, safe behavior for pedestrians and motorists alike. The road design has been thoroughly researched, investigated, and presented to achieve safety objectives while managing the high volumes of traffic. The 2009 Skyway Corridor Study, prepared by W-Trans Traffic Engineering and supported by Butte County Association of Governments, concluded Skyway can function to meet the volume demands while promoting a downtown commercial district. The 2012 Highway Safety Improvement Grant Award was made with knowledge that proven engineering treatments can and will reduce collisions. The 2013 Transportation and Safety Study prepared by Traffic Works confirmed the ultimate feasibility of the project and states that safety objectives may be achieved while offsetting reduction in capacity for signal coordination and optimization. Now, with full understanding of the traffic and safety benefits for our community, it is our recommendation that council adopt the plans, specifications, and estimates for the Downtown Paradise Safety Project.
Thank you, Mark. Questions from the council for Mark before I open it up to the public?
I had a question for Mark. You talked about the project being able to reduce the speeds.
Yes.
What's the current average speed on Skyway?
The current average speed, it depends on the time of day. If it's a congested time of day, we'll see a speed limit or an average speed between 30 and 35 miles per hour. But when we've got an open road, nights, weekends, early mornings, we've seen average speeds upwards of 38 miles per hour with, exceptions, above 40, certainly.
And with the project, what do you expect that average speed to be?
We expect a full reduction on the scale of at least 5 miles per hour and up to 9 miles per hour. And so really the flow of traffic through the downtown will be so structured that it'll be a necessity to drive a safe, compliant speed, with the speed limit being 30 miles per hour.
That's one of the comments I've gotten from constituents continually, is that people just drive too fast, so that sounds good to me.
And, you say that your studies showed that people are going 38 miles an hour? I'm sorry.
That's an average, though.
Average.
Well,
Yeah.
okay, but every time I'm out there, man, people are passing me and I'm doing 40, I had a school bus pushing me
Chief,
at
can you cite him?
45. It's just, you should maybe be more specific, because averages don't work. It's really crazy out there, man.
Right. There's high ends. True. Okay, any other questions for Mark before I open up the public? Okay, do we have any cards on this?
Yes, I have 7 cards, and
Okay.
my first card is from Johnny Ferris.
Okay. Mr. Boland is keeping time, so.
I walked up and down Skyway from Elliott, went down, got to Pierce, and crossed over, and I walked all the way back up to Elliott. And I had a notepad with me, and I was writing down information, you know, street numbers, type of business, whether they had a little sign that says parking in the rear, and a lot of them do have, but you couldn't see it driving by in the car. Some of the people got curious, want to know what I was doing and if I was from the town or what, and I said, no, I'm just somebody trying to see what's here. And I said, I do live in town. I've lived here almost 50 years. So, and the people that I spoke to were opposed to this project, with the exception of one. Then, this change I don't believe will work. I went to Reading, I found that street up there that they did the same thing. It's an unimportant street, has nothing to do with where major traffic is. It led off of what used to be the old Highway 99 as you're going north. And it was Highway 99 headed south on Market Street. Well, when Wonder World went in Reading back in the mid-60s, the town got the idea, they didn't like the idea of that, you know, park once and do all your shopping. So they got the bright idea, they closed off Market Street, which was the main street going through town headed south, and you could go north on it also. Had 2 lanes each way. They put them all in the middle of the town. Now you got to dodge Main Street to get through there. They ruined the town, literally. I'm glad I moved away from there. I was raised in Reading. And I run those streets a lot when I was a kid, when I first started driving. At one time, somebody thought he could outrun me. About 2, 3 o'clock in the morning. We come through downtown Reading, Main Street, 100 miles an hour. He didn't outrun me, and I thought, if we ever get caught, we'll never get out of jail.
Wrap up, because you got about 15 seconds.
Okay, and then I drove on that East Street. There's not many businesses there. They had that center turn lane, which worked well in that residential area.
Thank you. We need to keep this on time, and we're at your limit right now. Okay. Quickly.
They have a bike lane on each side of that. They got the center turn lane and 1 lane going each way. And they've got some markers up there where pedestrians can get. It didn't impress me at all. I don't think it'll work. And this up here is going to fail. And I wonder, what have we got left to take us back where we were? And I lived here long enough that when we moved here, and my wife is a native up here, that Everlast Road, Main Road, Clark Road, Pearson Road, Skyway were 1 lane each way, with no stop signs on.
Okay, I need to cut you off, sir, because we've got 7 other people that are waiting to speak, and a lot of people that want to listen to what's going on. Thank you, appreciate your comments.
Consider this not good. Thank you.
Next card.
Next card is from Tom Brannan.
I am Tom Brannan, as the town clerk just said. Lived for 22 years in Paradise at 1081 Fairview Drive. I'm a civil engineer, and for the last 25 years I've been working in the transportation field. I teach traffic and transportation down at Chico State, and one of the projects on which I consulted was one of the fatalities of a pedestrian versus car right here on the Skyway. So I know the road and I'm familiar with the problems. Part of the reason that I went into transportation engineering in the first place was that it gives you the opportunity to solve real problems. And for any situation where you've got a particular set of accidents. We can reach back into a long historical knowledge base of improvements that we can make to make those accidents go down. Obviously, we've got a lot of accidents here in the Skyway, and the town engineer has gone through. I was not aware that we were up to a collision every 19 days. That's a pretty high rate. And you're not the first town, we're not the first town that has faced this kind of situation. And the project that you guys have proposed is exactly what other towns have used in order to make their main street safer. I know that this project will work because it's worked in other places and worked very well in order to make the main street safer and to reduce the accident rate that you guys see there. I've looked over the plans and the information that's been available, and I think your town engineers put together a very good project. The project's going to work. I know it will work because it has worked in other places. It'll reduce accidents. It'll make your main street safer. I strongly urge you to support and proceed with the project.
I appreciate your comments and observations. Thank you.
My next card is Ward Habriel.
Thank you. Good evening again, Council. A couple of things. Don't want to rehash all the old information. I do believe it's important to recognize that this has gone on for 6 months, and that each time Mark has added things that have been addressed through a series of questions, and I think it's important that we've supported that. You've already mentioned this is a huge impact, and it's important, I think, that we get this kind of timing and this much public involvement. I do think it's important, though, to note that we have had numerous people come up here against this and over 100 signatures turned in that were in fact against this. But here's the thing. We're not really addressing the issue of accidents here because each of those causes was a human behavior. Somebody going too fast, following too close, not enough space to brake. It's a human behavior. There's nothing in this plan to address traffic enforcement. And frankly, I think we're very remiss to not do that. The two together would make this one happy road environment, really. But without traffic enforcement, we still have several dangerous areas in this town. The difference is that it didn't take a split second for somebody to go too fast. They did that on purpose. That's not an accident. It takes a split second to make a decision, though, to slow down and act safely behind the wheel. It takes a split second for a pedestrian on a curve to decide, do I go now or do I wait? It's a split second decision. That's a huge difference to prevent an accident versus the 6 months we're spending to do something that really does not address human behavior. And let's look at it this way, because that comes down to common sense was said. Let me quote from Saturday, October 12, 2013, when Greg Boland says, despite the speeding traffic behind him, it was the right thing to do. It was what I was supposed to do to stop. I stopped. That's a human behavior that prevents an incident. Now, we're all familiar with what happened right here. What did the town do, or what did the engineer do, or what did anybody propose when a man leaves choir practice from the CMA church late at night, crosses Clark Road, and is hit and killed by a vehicle? What did we do as a town to address that?
My next card is from Scott Memmott.
Good evening. I want to cast my recommendation that you approve this measure, this project. And I speak not having a lot of credibility in this area in the sense for traffic safety or anything like that, but as a victim of unsafe conditions. Over the last year, I've been rear-ended twice as I've stopped at non-controlled pedestrian walkways, and each time it's been a real problem. So the last time happened about a week and a half ago. I was driving north on Skyway, going to pick up my daughter at school about 3 o'clock in the afternoon. And I approached the intersection at the crossing between Bank of America and Les Schwab. And there was a truck that was slowing down, and the problem that I've faced many, many times is not knowing whether that vehicle is going to make a left-hand turn or whether they're stopping for a pedestrian. So I slowed down and I saw there was a woman with a baby carriage crossing, I'm not making this up. There was a woman with a baby carriage crossing the unmarked pedestrian crossway, and so I stopped as well, and about 5 seconds later, somebody slammed into my rear end. This happened, like I said, about a year earlier at the crosswalk between Dutch Brothers and the Holiday parking lot up there. So it's a common occurrence, not part of the statistic that Mark quoted, and I'm not surprised. I'm surprised that there actually isn't more of that. So I wholeheartedly will support this. And based on the information I've looked at, I can't see very much downside.
Thank you, Mr. Limit.
John Romalia.
Good evening. I want to approach this a little bit differently. If we put this in, which I don't know, I'm not a traffic engineer. I think Councilwoman Jones, if anybody's qualified to know about it, it's her. We have professors here tonight. My question is, if we put it in, and a year from now we find that we do have the problems, what is it going to cost to take it out? And is the net benefit of the streetlights, the repaving and everything else greater than what it's going to cost to take it back to the old way? If everybody said it's never going to work and you just don't do it, you'll never know. But I think we got to think at a year down the road. If we can take and we get $750,000 worth of benefits and it only costs us $250,000 to take it and get rid of the bulb outs and go back to the 2 lanes each direction, we got to do it. But by the same token, if it turns into a disaster with this opening up in September and elections in November, I think it was poor planning on a controversial project to bring it right before an election coming up. Thank you.
Efren Robinson.
Good evening. You know, I'm here because I think this project is something that's really needed in our town. I have a small business on the Skyway where this project is going to go. And, you know, I deal with customers every day that are scared to come into my store because even though I have enough parking, you know, if they park in front of the store, then it's kind of scary getting in and out of your car. And if they park on the side, then it's hard for them because the curb is not ADA compliant. So as a business owner, I see that this project it's all positive. I don't see anything negative about it. So I wanted to encourage the council to approve this project. And then also as a member of the town, I just see this, it's all positive. Yes, we do have to give up 30 seconds during peak time. Yes, we have to invest $100,000 into this project. And there's a few other negative things, but overall, we're getting $900,000 of free money. And I can't see why we wouldn't do this. I think it helps our town. It makes it safer. It makes it so there's more business downtown. And so it's all a green light for me, and I think you should really consider doing this project. Thank you.
Chuck Rowe.
That looks kind of familiar to me.
Prepared, just in case.
Be prepared, Steve. Anyway, Mayor Lauder, members of the council, I'm Chuck Rowe, and tonight I'm representing the Paradise Citizens Alliance, and we have a letter from our membership that we would like to read and enter into the record, and it reads as follows. Dear Mayor Lauder and members of the Paradise Town Council, as you are aware, the Paradise Citizens Alliance is an independent, nonpartisan community organization committed to constructively work with other individuals and organizations to help improve the quality of life for all citizens in the community. Part of what we do is to take a thorough, in-depth look at various proposals that are being considered by private and nonprofit organizations as well as public agencies serving Paradise, and to decide if these proposals will measurably improve our fellow citizens' quality of life within economic reason. We've studied the details associated with the proposed downtown Paradise Safety Project, review the preponderance of hard data, evidence, and information supporting the project, as well as consider the various arguments raised against the project. The Paradise Citizens Alliance has concluded that on balance, the measurable benefits from this proposed project outweigh the possible negatives. In fact, we can't think of a more worthy infrastructure-type project for improving quality of life in Paradise than a project that seeks to reduce the alarmingly high number of injury-related collisions and fatalities that have occurred over the last 10 years in this stretch of the Skyway running through the downtown, and whose overriding objective is to improve the personal safety of our citizens, whether as motorists or as pedestrians. Therefore, the Paradise Citizens Alliance supports this project and urges the Town Council's approval. However, our support for this project comes with a concern over the lack of landscape improvements that have historically been part of capital projects in the downtown. We understand the reason is the limited amount of funding available for the project. Our hope is that the town can include with this project planned landscape improvements that can be implemented later through a combined volunteer effort by downtown businesses and community organizations. Finally, the Paradise Citizens Alliance wishes to commend the Town Council and staff for its unparalleled community outreach effort to inform and to educate the public about this project. And I would add to this letter, Mark, thank you very much for an outstanding job. I mean that. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Chuck.
Next card is from Doug Spiker.
Thank you again for an opportunity to come up and address you on this item. Paradise is not the same community that I was raised in. It's definitely in need of changes. I'm going to speak on a personal note, but then also from my professional standpoint. As far as personally, as a child, I was struck by a car here in Paradise. Crossing the street, riding a bike. It was actually my fault, but the vehicle was going a little fast. We clearly can't sit on our laurels and not do something here. I think it's time to definitely make these improvements, and I have to commend Mark. I was hesitant when I first heard of the project. I was clearly against the Pearson Road. Now I'm extremely pleased with Pearson Road. We've had a number of near misses with our trucks on Pearson Road. Since then, all of our drivers, there's not any issues there. Skyway, we have safety briefings every morning with our crew. We have numerous amount of near misses that we discuss there. And typically they're at crosswalks. As you might realize, a garbage truck stopped in the right-hand lane might indicate something. It's picking up trash, right? So automatically the vehicles will proceed right around the left to come in contact with that individual in that crosswalk. It's happened a number of times. Thank the Lord, it's never occurred where we've never had a fatality where we have been involved with. But in long and short, I fully support this, and I commend you for bringing this, and I say go for it. Thank you.
Thanks, Doug.
Barry Stein.
Good evening, Council. Thank you for allowing me to speak this evening. I've always been a proponent for this project, not only because I have a business and own a building in downtown, but because I get to witness things every single day. We've been in that location for 9 years, and I can tell you that it's an amazing thing to me to see the numbers when it comes to injury accidents. It's almost incalculable how many rear endings, all kinds of minor accidents occur, and with each of those comes a stoppage in traffic, and somebody's life changes monetarily, could be a slight physical, or it has to do with their hours of work or whatever it is. This is an incredibly positive event that I think that the town should absolutely vote in favor of. Thank you.
Barry?
Marilyn Stein.
Well, he kept it short, so that's good.
Yes, he did.
You know, I'm a pretty apolitical person, and it takes an awful lot to get me to a meeting like this, especially when I had missed dinner to do it. But we are business owners, and some people have suggested that we might have a vested interest because somehow this project is going to better serve our business. And frankly, I would love it if that were the case, but I'm not sure that anybody's going to make a decision to shop with us based on whether they're going 30 or they're going 50 down the sky. I am interested in a safer community. I was interested in finding out I was in a disadvantaged community. I didn't know that until tonight. But I definitely want it to be safer. And the resistance that I've heard to this change is pretty common. I mean, resistance to change is tough for all of us. But it's also been pretty emotional. And if I have to put up the resistance to change, the emotional side of it, against the experts, the data, and the proven solutions that have been presented here tonight, I don't think there's any question which way I'm going to go. I'm going to go with the, you know, we have to do this because all of the statistics and all of the experts who have a whole lot more credentials than I do say that this is the right thing to do. So I'm just going to go on record saying I'd be happy to get up 5 minutes earlier in the morning if it took that long to get through this. You know, they're talking 30 seconds, but I'd gladly spend 5 minutes waiting so that somebody's life could be protected in this particular storm. So I'm going to urge you to vote for. Thank you.
That was my last card.
And then I'm going to, oh, we do have, oh, yes, come forward. You wanted to talk earlier?
I don't know about the survey that you took. Pardon me for not looking when I speak bigger, because your smile is distracting. So.
Yeah.
Yours is different. Okay. The survey was not widely known. All the people that I talked to had never heard of it. And when I told them what the point of it was, to reduce Skyway from 4 to 2 lanes, the general response was insane, and then laughter. I can't believe it's being seriously considered, really. The main thing is fire danger. When you call it a safety feature for people crossing the street, since the last meeting that I was here, I think January, I've seen one person cross the street. So I don't think that reducing Skyway to 2 lanes will in any way increase activity downtown. We'll see. But I like the idea about considering the cost of removing it, if necessary, at the end of the year. And I hope that will be considered. I just can't imagine if there were a fire, the traffic coming down Skyway. But when it's 4 lanes, it's bad enough, trying to accommodate all the traffic that would be coming through. But for 2 lanes, I think, frankly, my opinion is, if the council was searching for a way to diminish the population of Paradise, this would do it. And I think when the next election occurs, for each of you who have voted for it, I expect to see a change in that council seat. Thank you.
Is there anybody else that didn't have an opportunity to fill out a card that would like to come forward? Mr. Clarkson, come forward, name for the record. And
Thank you. My name is James Clarkson, owner of Hudson's Appliance Center. As you all know, I wear several hats in this town. This particular hat tonight is as a store owner that's located where your infrastructure earlier last year was done, where you went from 4 lanes down to 2 lanes. Basically the same configuration that you're considering doing. And I'm now living with the result of that. And what I can tell you is the whole environment has dramatically changed to the positive things are slowing down, the cars are going through a lot more linearly, and I'm a person that is always going 100 miles an hour myself. But when I drive, I hate to confess, but I'm one of those people that a lot of people probably go, he's moving too fast. And what I can tell you is when I'm driving down that road now that I have to follow a line with other people, all of a sudden I realize I'm not going to be able to go any faster. There's no way for me to get around. I'm just going to have to be patient and go along with the flow. And my blood pressure drops down because I just settle in and go on. And it's the safest street to drive on now. It was a tough time to go through with the construction, but it was, the end result was very worth it. And as far as my concern goes, if you are brave enough to support this, I think that the people of Paradise will reward you next election. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Clarkson. Okay, anybody else? Okay, yes, go ahead and come forward, state your name for the record.
My name is Kim Geha, and I'm a new business owner in town. I'm at Ever After at Pearson and Skyway, and I just want to go on the record to say that I do support this. I think it's a wise move, and I would like to see, my business is an antique store, and I would like to see a better walking area for the antique and thrift shops in the downtown. I'm also a daughter of a woman who was injured a few weeks back in this area, and I think with this change, that accident that my mom was in probably wouldn't have happened. So I just want to go on the record to support this.
Thank you, and welcome to Downtown Paradise. We appreciate the new business. Okay, anybody else? Acting Chief, Lieutenant Rowe. Oh, and then, yes, and we'll let the Fire Chief talk too.
Mr. Mayor, members of the Town Council, I'd like to go on record for the Police Department that we do support the Skyway Improvement Project. There can be no doubt there will be added safety for vehicles and pedestrians alike, and we will see a significant reduction in traffic speed and in pedestrian safety crossing Skyway in the downtown area. One of our biggest complaints from the community is traffic speed, particularly in the downtown area. Vehicles are constantly exceeding the speed limit and weaving in traffic, endangering other motorists and pedestrians. This project was researched and carefully designed by competent and qualified engineers, and a detailed survey was conducted, and the project is based on proven models in other communities. Many features have been added to this project to include the synchronization of traffic lights to assist in the flow of traffic, which should assist. And I have confidence in the abilities of those conducting these studies and believe it will work in our downtown area. I also had some concerns regarding the Pearson project when they came in, and I am pleasantly surprised that has been a tremendous success. And I believe that this will also be as successful as that Pearson Road project as we go forward on this. Thank you.
Thank you, Lieutenant Rowe. Chief Hawks.
Good evening again, Mayor Lauder and council members. Dave Hawks, Paradise Fire, CAL FIRE. I just want to reaffirm the fire department's support for this project as well. Anytime we can reduce speeds and get traffic down to one lane, we'll reduce the number of side impact collisions. We certainly feel that's where a lot of the injury accidents occur. Also reducing the number of points that a pedestrian has to navigate to get across the Skyway currently with 4 lanes down to 2. That will dramatically help that, and obviously we do routinely respond to serious accidents involving pedestrians. So any reduction there would be appreciated. We appreciate your support for the project as well. Thanks.
Chief, can I ask you a question?
Yeah.
So, I know on the 08 fires, we had a lot of difficulty in evacuating the town, various roads out, because of the fire and road closures, Skyway, Clark, and different things. But I know since then, there have been a lot of conversations amongst all the emergency service personnel and so that in the case, just for these people that keep bringing that up, that there's a wildland fire again, the impression I got from those discussions post-2008 fire were that we have new plans for evacuation where we would turn all the lanes going one way if we were trying to mass evacuate something, it wouldn't be a matter of one lane going out, like, is that correct or not?
True. There is what's termed contraflow, and I'll invite Steve to step up here and speak to that if he'd like to. But we have been meeting periodically with Jim Brashears, myself, John Gulseri in the town of Paradise, CHP, Public Works, Paul Durr in the back. There are plans. We've talked quite a lot about it. Each situation is different, so it's hard to tell what the next event will hold, but we have various evacuation zones. The key is for us to strategically evacuate the zones that need to be. When everybody tries to evacuate at one time, that's when the bottleneck creates, more so than should be expected. So if we strategically pick the zones that need evacuation, immediate evacuation, we'll start working on those zones, and we can use contraflow as one option. The center lane, in theory here, the center lane would become our 2 lanes that we currently have now. So you'd have the 1 lane, and the center lane would be the single route out in the case of the Skyway, and then the lane going potentially northbound would be incoming emergency vehicles, is what we theorize at this point. Yeah.
Thanks, Chief.
You bet.
I received a letter from our former fire chief and now downtown merchant, Jim Brashears, who owns Trailhead Adventures, that's right there by the Boys and Girls Club and Bank of America, and he says, Dear Mayor Lauder, I'm writing this letter in support of the Downtown Paradise Safety Project. I'll be out of town on Tuesday and unable to attend. But he wanted to express his support. As a business owner in the project area for the past 7 years, I've had the opportunity to observe and personally experience the Skyway from many perspectives. My chair at the checkout stand at Trailhead Adventures faces Skyway and the traffic that flows through the downtown area during the day. My customers park on Skyway. I spend a fair amount of time in front of the store observing traffic, and I cross Skyway both on foot and in my vehicle. Being immediately adjacent to the crosswalk with the flashing warning light also offers unique and often alarming view of traffic on Skyway. All of this experience has led me to the conclusion the Skyway and the project area is not safe in its current configuration. The combination of faster traffic, changing lanes, passing slower traffic, unsafe speeds, and lack of a center turn lane combined to make this stretch a hazard to navigate. It's a miracle that more accidents and injuries have not occurred. Screeching tires are almost a daily occurrence as vehicles navigate the pedestrians and other vehicles stop to turn or attempting to re-enter traffic. Over the years, I've given considerable thought to solutions that would make this stretch of road safer and more friendly to the pedestrians and businesses who inhabit or use this area. Any solution that are proposed will inevitably have its pros and cons given the constraints of the width of Skyway from curb to curve. I believe the project as proposed is the best solution I've seen to the issues outlined above. By synchronizing the signals, creating a center lane, reducing and improving side crosswalks, and providing buffered parking, I believe the downtown Paradise area will be safer and more pedestrian and business friendly. Thank you for consideration, Jim Brashears. So, make sure I had, Jim felt bad he wasn't able to be here tonight. So, I'm going to close the public comment portion and bring it back to the council for discussion and action. Discussion from anybody?
I'd like to share this with you. It's called the Main Street, California, A Guide for Improving Community and Transportation Vitality. It was produced by the State Department of Transportation in November of 2013, so just a few months ago. It's a state-of-the-art on what you should do with your main streets to make them safe. It has an entire section on improvements exactly like we're talking about here, with examples of state highways that serve as main streets where we are doing exactly the same kind of project. I don't know if you can see this, but this is Willow Creek on 299. It was a 4-lane road. It's now 2 lanes with a 2-way left turn channelization. A few weeks ago, I went to a groundbreaking for a project in Kings Beach on Highway 28 on the north shore of Lake Tahoe. They've spent 10 years trying to get a project like this through their community. It was very controversial, but they broke ground a couple weeks ago, and they're going to take 4 lanes to 3 lanes with a 2-way left turn lane and bicycle and pedestrian sidewalks. I think it's state of the art. I think that Mark has done his homework He's done all the traffic modeling. He can show us that it's going to work. I also had a booth at the Chocolate Fest last weekend, just kind of a meet and greet your new council person booth. I talked to lots of people. I asked them what they thought about the Skyway project. Maybe they were just in a good mood that day, but I didn't find a single person opposed. It was sort of split between people who were in favor and people who were, I'm not too sure, but it doesn't work now, and I think we ought to try it. I think there are a lot of benefits to the project for the town. It's definitely going to make things safer. Great side benefit is the improvement to the pavement. We wouldn't have that money if it wasn't for the safety project. I do think emergency response and even evacuation, as it's described, being able to use that two-way left turn lane is going to be as good or better, probably better than it is today. And I definitely think it will save lives, which is the most important thing to me. People have talked about the election and what that might mean for those of us who are up for election. I'm one of those people. If it saves a life, I really don't care what the election does to me personally. So I'm going to support the project and vote yes.
Thank you, Jody.
All right. Thank you first for the discussion. I appreciate the civil discussion tonight. You guys spoke what you felt on your heart, and it was very good, and I want to thank you for that. I'm not an engineer. I'm not a traffic expert, and all I can do is ask questions. If you want me to build a house, I can build you a house, but I cannot build you a road. The first time I heard about this, I thought, are we crazy? What in the world are we thinking? The more I heard it and the more I listened to the facts of it, honestly, I could not, it seemed like we should have done this before. And I've been here a long time. I've been here for years. I remember when there was a tree in the middle of Skyway, we had to take Skyway around. So I remember those days. Change is tough. I remember the first signal light going in town. What are we coming to? What is this town coming to? Change is tough, and I understand that, but I don't understand, I understand the concern of change, but I think the project speaks for itself. It has too much merit not to move forward with it. Again, the thought of the election, I'm not up for re-election, but I don't make decisions up here based on those. Got to be the right thing. If you do it because you want to be re-elected, you're doing it for the wrong reasons. So that doesn't have a reason, and I appreciate the response about the fire. We're going to get people out of here. The width of that road did not change. It won't change. We're going to get people out of this town. We've had enough people look at it. I'm confident of that, so I am for this project.
Rawlings,
Yes. First off, I'd like to thank everybody for being here today and tonight, and your comments greatly appreciated. I'm an old traffic police officer, so I do understand a little bit about traffic control and how to get them out of town and in town, in both emergency operations and on normal operations. But one of the, Ward was talking about it being an adjustment, it's a human adjustment. Well, that's true. But the other part of the other part, it's a human behavior, but the other part of it, as the town engineer Mark had said, that there will be adjustments from time to time, and that's where the police department comes in. They will be making adjustments too. There will be some enforcement, sure. And Doug Spicer, he was hit by a car when he was a child. And so, he's one of the survivors, but that child last year did not survive. Killed right here in front of our city hall. So what price tag can you put on not doing this? How many lives are we going to have to lose before we finally do the right thing? I believe that you can't put a price tag on a life, and I believe that it's take a few seconds or maybe a few minutes out of somebody's day to get back through town. So what? You're alive, and you should just count your blessings for being there, for being alive. And that's pretty much, as far as the not getting reelected goes, I'm not here for that anyhow. I'm just here to try to serve the public and do it in a way that's going to benefit the communities, the safety of the community, and each individual of this community. So that doesn't bother me too much. So my thoughts are, it's good for the town, it's good for our community, and I think opportunity to spend the money in a way that's going to protect each individual of this town.
I want to thank you all. I also want to thank everybody for, pros and cons, It's been a process. I remember the first meeting when Mark presented this. I asked the question in that meeting, what if this doesn't work? Can we do it? And yeah, it could be undone because the road width doesn't change. I've played, devil's advocate on this. I've listened to people that it, although there haven't been that many, talk to me about it. And I had my own concerns, And I had quite a conversation with Jody because of her expertise and a number of conversations with Mark and the town manager. I like putting an island out here. It's going to create a bunch of problems. I understand safety and stuff. But I had a couple of different concerns on, that on the crosswalk out in front of Town Hall and that. But I didn't have a whole lot of concerns with the stuff up in the middle of town. And again, I sat through all of the things. I attended a couple of the public meetings to see how people showed up. And I think that, my conversations with Jody in her 34 years working for Caltrans as a traffic director, some of the projects and things she pointed out to me as far as what best practices are, crosswalks we have up by, the crosswalk that's out here right now, you couldn't build that today with the new standards. We have up at Beyond Fitness, you couldn't build that crosswalk today in that configuration. You would have to put an island in that. That's what you do now if you've got 4 lanes of traffic at the center. And I think the biggest thing that has alleviated my concerns, again, playing the naysayer and playing, really nitpicking it. Well, what about this and what about that? And, what about if somebody pushes that crosswalk button at Honey Run? How's that going to impact that 5 o'clock traffic? I gave Mark a bad time about some of this stuff. But what's convinced me or alleviated all of my concerns for that, number one has been the positive response I've got from the majority of the citizens that I've talked to. But more importantly, the expertise. Yeah, so it's the people, Mark and Lauren, gosh, I don't want to get emotional.
I get emotional. What's going on with you?
Jody, it's important stuff, because it's the citizens, it's the people that we represent, we're just representatives. You guys elected us to put us here to make decisions on your behalf in the best interests of this community as a whole, and that's what it's about. I love what Jody said, and John and Greg, this isn't about getting elected, this is not about votes, and those people that stand at this podium and make veiled threats at us, good luck, because we don't do this for that. We're servants, and we're serving you, and I think that the project that Mark and this whole team has put together, and we have vetted with the whole community. I love what we've done over the last 6 months. I'm an impatient guy. I don't like sitting through all the PowerPoints, but I've done it. And, Mark told me I can't shake my head no when he's giving a presentation, and I'm learning. But, it's a good project, and I think it's about making our community safer for the citizens that live here, and I'm a citizen that live here too. And I appreciate Jody, I appreciate all of my colleagues on this dais, the entire staff, and so I'll be voting yes for this project.
Okay. So, and I'll get the last word in. No, I won't. This has been a long process, and I think I lost track of it. I'd been to 7 presentations on this, community groups with Mark and Lauren, and I know it's more than that. The important thing is just to remember it's about safety. It's about improving the safety, and the side benefits to it are going to be reduced calls to the police and fire departments to deal with the accidents and our overtaxed public safety. That's going to be tremendous, okay? And there's at least one body shop owner that's opposed to this. What a surprise.
He's really for it.
Oh, he's for it, okay. Yeah. So, I just think it's going to be I think it's going to be very positive, and as one of those that's up for election, I'm not worried about it. I'm doing the right thing for the town. Citizens elect us to do the research, to go to the meetings, to read the studies, to get educated, to do the right thing for them, and that's what your council is in. We've asked a lot of questions. We've had a lot of meetings with Mark and with Lauren, and looked at other communities, and every community I drive through, and they have this the traffic diet. I've been a downtown guy for a long time, and I've seen what works and what doesn't, and this is going to be really exciting and positive thing. So with that, I'm going to make the motion to approve this downtown safety project.
Be proud to second it.
Thank you, John.
And that is a motion and second to adopt resolution number 1413, approving plans, specifications, and estimates for the Downtown Paradise Safety Project and authorizing advertisement for bids on the project. And the roll call vote, Vice Mayor Boland?
Aye.
Councilmember Cullerton?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Rawlings?
Aye.
Mayor Lotto?
Aye. And thank you again to everybody that came and spoke tonight, both for and against. It's always important to get that input from the citizens. So thank you very much. Okay. Take a break?
Yes.
Okay, we're going to take a 5-minute intermission.
Sure to get your candy bars and sodas in the lobby.
Needs about an hour.
Where are we at? Let's postpone that, whatever's left until next month.
D, isn't it?
No, we cannot.
Charge.
Okay,
Woody,
so
what's up?
we're back. Item 7D, contingent upon approval of downtown Paradise Safety Project Plan Specifications Estimate, approved street light service agreement for Skyway Vista Way to Memorial, and authorize town engineer to execute subject agreement. Any cards on this item?
No cards on 7D.
Okay. Any questions from the council? I'll entertain a motion.
All right, go ahead.
Wow. I can hear from Mark.
It is what it is.
Do we have any questions on that?
I just asked that question.
Oh, no.
I move approval of item 7D as presented.
I second.
And the roll call vote. Vice Mayor Boland?
Aye.
Councilmember Culleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Rawlings?
Aye.
And Mayor Lauter.
Aye. Item 7E, waive reading of the entire ordinance, proposed ordinance 542, and approve reading by title only, and introducing ordinance, probably 542, an ordinance amending sections 5.19.030 and 5.19.031 regarding taxi cab business licenses. The amendment would delete the provision in the code that allows for issuance of a 30-day temporary business license to taxi cab business owners and operators.
Chief?
I think we were both on the council, passed this originally.
Yeah, Mr. Mayor and Town Council, I'll speak to this real quick. This is only a minor revision of the ordinance regarding taxi cab business licenses. Currently, we allow a temporary license to be issued for 30 days for the owner of a taxi cab business. This revising would eliminate the 30-day temporary license requirement. There is a requirement for anyone in the state of California to operate a taxi cab business to have a background check by the Department of Justice and have the appropriate insurance in place. The 30-day temporary license is designed to allow the taxi cab business to operate while this is being conducted. However, the drivers that are hired through the taxi cab business must go through the same procedure and do not receive a 30-day temporary permit to operate a taxi cab. The Department of Justice checks does not take very long, and it is reasonable to wait for the check to be completed before actually operating the taxi cab business. In addition, the police department does not have the resources to check on a business after 30 days to ensure the owner has complied with the law. By eliminating the issuance of a temporary license, all the requirements are met, and there's no requirement to follow up later on.
Any cards on this item?
No cards on
Any
7E.
questions from the council? Okay, go ahead.
Are there any taxi cab operators who currently are in that 30 days?
I don't think there is. We just had one,
So is there a new taxi cab operator attempting to come into town?
there is one.
Here's a new one.
Oh, okay, all right.
777. You guys, nothing but vans.
Who does that check on them? You said that they have to be checked up before they, who does that?
What happens is they come in and they do what's called a life scan check, it's a fingerprint check.
Right.
Department of Justice will then, they do the running of the check, they do the check, and they ignore the check, and they send the results back to us. And that's a pretty quick process, it doesn't last maybe a week or two is all it takes.
That's all done through your office of the police department?
That's correct, it would come through us, and then we would make sure that this person is qualified to operate a taxi cab within the parameters of the law.
And I know a few years ago, or at least one of the complaints we got from the only taxi cab company we had, that it was taking forever to get getting the background checks done or whatever. But you were saying, and so it's new now that they're doing it a lot quicker with live scan. This may have been before we had live scan options or something.
I don't recall the length of time, but as far as I know, these life scans are coming back pretty quick.
No, I'm just saying that I remember in my term on the council.
I think Councilman Cullen and I were both on the council when we changed it and put this into effect because of a problem.
The operator of the existing taxi cab company was taking forever for him to hire people because it was taking so long to get the live scan or the background checks done.
It was taking 8 or 10 weeks.
That's
Yeah, and
possibility.
so that's changed. But the other thing is, if I own or this new taxi cab, if he hires anybody, whoever he hires has to be live scanned too, right? Because the law certain people can't be taxi cab drivers.
That's correct. They have to go through the same process that the owner goes through.
Right,
It's the exact
right.
same one, but they can't get it in a 30-day.
How do we know like the new fellow, or let's say that I opened a taxi cab company, I went through the process, and so now I hire Jody. How do you know, or how does the town know that I've hired somebody new?
That's a good question. We would not know that
Well-
unless she came down to apply for a license. But if she operated without a license, she'd be in violation of the law. And so would you for allowing her to operate a license. And certain things could happen. The taxis could be impounded. You definitely could be arrested, cited. So there's penalties in place, but it's the same thing as a burglar.
So the business owner that generally is going to follow the law and going to make sure that everybody's,
They will, because it's pretty hard to operate a taxi cab business and not be in compliance with the laws, because somebody's going to find that out later on.
So, when I take a cab in New York, LA, San Francisco, Vegas, whatever, there's always a picture of the taxi cab driver and his license, and do we have similar thing?
I don't know whether we require that or not on our taxi cabs. I don't think I've seen them. I can tell you that they do police themselves. I can tell you that other taxi cab drivers or owners within the town, if they find out...
they'll dime on the other guy, sure.
Absolutely.
Yeah, absolutely. But
Well,
maybe
if you
ought to-
think it's a problem, we need to make a change to require a posted license, I guess, let us know. But I don't think we're looking
If there's a
for,
problem there or issue there, I haven't heard anything, and that is a problem.
Well, what I'm thinking is the same way that we issued the EOC cards or the town cards or the picture IDs, we have that capability to police departments. Since they're getting the license through you, getting cleared through you, maybe that's something, even if we had to adjust the fee for that, maybe when they obtain a taxi cab driver's license through the town of Paradise and maybe we could issue that picture IDs, just so our citizens, anybody that taking that cab knows that,
Absolutely, that could be done.
you know what I mean?
and it
It's just
seems
something
like
might
we could
wanna look
also
into.
use code enforcement to check on them, to see that all their drivers.
Not that you don't have
We don't
anything
have,
else
we don't have to
do.
put it on the overburdened police department if we want to look into it and see if it's an issue. Okay, thank you, Lieutenant Rowe. Any cards on this item?
No cards on 7E.
Okay, entertain a motion.
I'll move approval.
7F, item 7F,
I'll second.
It was 7E.
that's 7F.
Well, we had a little error.
Labeling confusion.
Say congratulations to
Anyway,
Councilman Coleman.
as written, that we changed the wording to require cab drivers and cab operators to have a license prior to operating.
Yeah, that sums it up, right? All right, we have a
Okay,
motion,
and that will,
and were you seconding that?
Yes, I seconded it.
introduce ordinance 542. And
Correct.
roll call vote.
And waive reading.
Waive reading, yes. Vice Mayor Boland?
Aye.
Councilmember Colleton?
Aye.
Councilmember Jones?
Aye.
Councilmember Rawlings?
Aye.
Mayor Lauter?
Aye. Okay, thank you. Item 7F, the real item 7F, waive reading of the entire ordinance, number 540, and approve reading by title only. Adopt ordinance 540, an ordinance of the Town of Paradise, adding chapter 3.22 to the Paradise Municipal Code regarding a transactions and use tax to be administered by the State Board of Equalization. Manager.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. So at the April 8th meeting, the Paradise Town Council meeting, ordinance 540 was introduced. If the ordinance is adopted this evening, a ballot measure will be placed on the November 4th general election for voter approval. So tonight's action does not actually pass a tax, it just puts it on the ballot for the voters to approve. And that would be approving a local tax increase of 0.5% from April 1st, 2015 until March 31st, 2021, when it would automatically expire. Over the past several years, the town of Paradise, as with all cities in California, suffered major revenue shortages and takeaways that have severely impacted local revenues. Those local revenues are how cities pay for public services such as police, fire, public works, and street maintenance, to name a few. Despite budget difficulties, the town of Paradise made great strides in paring down the size of local government, including reducing wages and benefits without causing an alarming impact to the level of services. If additional revenues are not generated, any further cuts will have a direct and visible impact on the community. It is important to note that this ordinance allows the voters to have a voice and gives them an opportunity to be part of the solution. Residents need to be made fully aware of the situation and how the residents of Paradise would benefit by investing in the community. Conversely, residents should also be made aware and fully understand the inevitable impact to vital services should the current budget picture continue. Because town staff has extended every resource to its limit and still struggles to provide a sustainable service level, it is necessary to ask the citizens of Paradise to consider a short-term sales tax increase. The revenue generated during this 6-year term would enable the town to maintain and address deficiencies in the current levels of public safety and infrastructure of our town. We made some great strides tonight. We need to continue to work on making this town a better and more safe place to live. There are only a few revenue options available to public entities. A temporary general sales tax increase would be the most fairly distributed among residents and visitors alike. A sales tax is not strictly limited to residential landowners like a partial tax. Visitors and neighboring residents who use our roads are included in paying for the cost to maintain them. It is important to note that over 2/3 of California cities and counties have add-on sales tax. Because it's a smart thing to do, the state government cannot take any portion of that increase. The distribution of taxes are often confusing, as most people believe that all taxes stay local to support critical public safety services and build and repair roads. This is far from the truth. Only 1 cent of every tax dollar stays in the local community where they are collected. As one resident very eloquently stated, "I wouldn't mind paying taxes so much, but I want my taxes to stay local so I can see the benefit." 100% of every dollar generated by a local sales tax increase would stay in Paradise and benefit our community. It is highly recommended that the council adopt the sales tax ordinance to keep the budget balanced and to preserve police, fire, street maintenance, animal control, and other services for town residents. Although a general tax cannot be designated in advance for specific purposes, staff is also recommending that the council appoint a citizens oversight committee to monitor the use of the revenues for the sales tax increase. If the ordinance is passed by the town council, a ballot measure is placed on the ballot for the November election, and a simple majority vote is needed to adopt the proposed general tax ordinance. Upon adoption of the ordinance 540 this evening, the resolution will include language requesting that the ballot measure be submitted to the voters, and the town attorney will then provide an impartial analysis, and the ballot measure text and the resolutions will include the procedure relating to arguments for and against the measure. So, the fiscal impact of this analysis. If the voters approve a half-cent sales tax increase, it is estimated to increase the town's general fund revenue annually by $850,000 for a 6-year term. The town of Paradise would retain local control of 100% of that. The state government in Sacramento would receive 0%. A Citizens Oversight Board will be established to ensure that the revenue is focused on critical public safety and infrastructure needs, such as to maintain police protection, fire suppression, capital improvements, and enable the town to maintain current services. A temporary sales tax increase of half a cent will add just 50 cents to every $100 spent on taxable goods in the town of Paradise. An average cost spread out over every household is estimated to be less than $42 per year. We prepared a very short cost-benefit analysis that I would like to go over for the benefit of those in the audience this evening. And again, this is just some background that we have. Since 2008, 2009, the town budget started experiencing the impacts of state grabs, property tax devaluations, and the global economic downturn. $3.3 million in revenue is lost to date. I had someone tell me recently at a Rotary meeting, they said, well, You know, when your budget is down, if you're a business and your budget is down, you just wait for a year or two and you just don't do any capital improvements in that time, or spend money on needed equipment. Well, we don't have that option when it comes to police vehicles, fire engines. We can only put them off for so long. And also, it takes a long time for our revenues to get back up, to build back up when we are so heavily dependent on property tax values because they can only grow at a very small rate per year. The town took immediate steps after the downturn, or during the downturn, to cut expenses. And I know that most people are aware of this, but we cut our staff nearly in half. We reduced the benefit packages. We eliminated capital purchases and major repairs. We reduced unfunded liability, and we took a lot of important things out of the budget, critical items out of the budget. We can't continue to do that indefinitely. What is left is a budget that is not sustainable at current levels. Deep cuts in services result in higher crime rates and declining property values, and that is what we will start to experience if we do not make this decision, not only to put this on the voters, but if the voters decide not to pass this tax. It is really important that the voters be the ones to say and give input into what they are willing to do for this community. I really am very proud of the council tonight. They made great strides, and it was a tough decision to vote on the Skyway Safety Improvement Project. That is one step towards making this a better place. It is very important that the stakeholders be made aware that additional resources are needed, or we will have to make cuts. So, and why a sales tax? We've looked at many different options. There are not a lot of options available for cities, but this sales tax initiative does not overly burden the property owners, and non-Paradise residents that utilize our services and our roads would also contribute, and that's very important too. We would be able to address critical immediate needs in our budget and also invest in community infrastructure for future growth. And we believe this will have a positive impact not only on our residents, but also on businesses. So when we're looking at some of the immediate needs, we have 100 miles of public streets and roads to maintain. Most of the grants that we get, if not all the grants, are for commercial roads, and also, as you heard tonight, some of that is just for sidewalks and doesn't even address the streets. So this is a huge expense. This is a great asset that we own. There are roads, and we need to maintain them. Police vehicle replacement costs, it's very expensive to not only to replace a car, but to fully equip that patrol car. Most of our fleet is beyond its service life expectancy at an average of 9.7 years. A Type 1 fire engine, $470,000. And that is, so if you did a lease purchase for a fire engine, like you do a mortgage, you're paying $55,000 a year for 10 years to buy that fire engine. And our first response engines are 6, 12, and 13 years. Reserve engines are over 20. This is a critical need in our fire service. During the 6 years that the tax would be in place, the town would work to meet immediate critical needs while investing in the community, making Paradise a more attractive and viable destination for businesses, for visitors and residents. We would be able to invest in public safety and roads, which would be make it a better climate for businesses. And also, our property taxes would start again to go on the upswing and stay on the upswing instead of going down. Without community reinvestment, property taxes and business climate will surely decline. So at this point, I ask Gina, who is a normal citizen who lives right outside of our community. She doesn't pay property taxes in our community because she lives right outside, but she does use our roads. And so I asked Gina just to prepare a day in the life as far as what would this cost the normal average Joe citizen. Gina.
So I actually live 4 miles out of town limits, but my daughter attends school in Paradise, and of course I work in Paradise, and I'm very happy to call Paradise home. But for me, a typical Friday afternoon when I get out of work and I'm picking up my daughter from school, often I have to fill up my tank of gas, or at least put about $16 worth of gas. That would cost me an extra 25 cents to do that if this tax were passed. I also have 2 dogs and 1 cat that I have to feed, as well as my normal family. And so I stop by the store and pick up a bag of dog food and some kitty litter, and that would cost me an extra 14 cents. Also, as Sarah gets in the car for the day, she informs me that she's been invited to a birthday party, and it's the next day. So where do we go on the way home? But we stop by a store real quick and pick up a child's gift, and lo and behold, there is always some additional item that ends up in our basket. So maybe that's a magazine or some nail polish. So that would cost an extra 15 cents. And then also, I know that I have to pick up a pair of tennis shoes for my husband, as his is worn through, so we stop by the shoe store in town, and that costs me an extra 20 cents. And then finally, on the way home, we take a trip to the grocery store, as I've made a conscious effort to buy local wherever possible. So we do purchase gas in town and do our grocery shopping, especially in town. And so for 5 days of food for my family of 3, plus some extra incidentals that do cost or would require income tax, or not income tax, but sales tax, it would cost about an extra 6 cents. So overall for the day, it would cost me an extra 80 cents if this sales tax were passed. And then just thinking through the comparison, so if I decided that maybe I could save at least the sales tax money from taking a trip down to Chico, I would actually spend about $6 in gas. My vehicle gets about 21 miles to the gallon, so a round trip for me would be about 31.5 miles. So I'd spend $6 in gas to save 80 cents.
Thank you very much. That's a very good picture, a very good analogy to draw, especially for a huge and important investment in our community. And I just wanted to say, because someone asked me this question too, and it's a very important question, so what happens at the end of 6 years? Does that drop, or do we just drop off a cliff? Does that get us exactly where we need to be? Well, it doesn't, get us to the top of the heap, no. But it does put us about halfway up that long mountain that we've been climbing out of. And I'll tell you what, the town has suffered a great many cuts and setbacks financially for many years. And we don't climb out of this overnight, but I'm very proud with the job that we're doing, with especially the small staff that we have. We work as a team to get grants, to do projects, to make this a better community. We try to do things that last, that have a great impact for our community. We also have great employees that work for the town that really like to do a good job serving its residents. We do not want to lose those employees. We don't want the level of service to this community to deteriorate. I, for one, am very heavily invested in this community in many ways. And as you can see earlier, there are a lot of people whose heart is here, and we want to see this community work. So if this gets us to a better place, I think that it's worth the $42 a year. And I do have to say just one more thing, that I'm very happy that the voters, if this passes tonight, are going to get an opportunity to weigh in, not only be part of the solution, but to tell us exactly how much they want to put for critical and immediate needs, but also invest in the future of this organization and of this town. So, thank you.
Lauren? Yeah, it's interesting to see, $6 and it's going, okay, half cent sales, because people say, well, I'll just go to Chico, because it's sales tax. You'd have to be spending $3,000 in order to break even on the gas.
Was that a weekly number? About $196 a year.
That's,
It would be like $42 a year for my household.
That was what you showed was a weekly number?
Is a weekly number. Yeah. Because I don't, that's a week's worth of groceries, a week's worth of.
it was 80 cents.
80 cents times 52.
Times 5 is $4 a week, times 4
Weekly.
52.
52 weeks in a year.
80
Woody.
cents a week.
80 cents a week.
It's a week times 52.
Well, okay.
It's about $42.
Okay.
Next thing you know, you're going to want a raise.
No, this is not about employee raises.
Any cards on this item?
I have one card from Ward Haber.
Of course.
Yeah, of course, yeah, thanks.
Positive word.
You know, a lot of people know that I don't mind coming here and standing up and speaking either on behalf of them or whatever, and one sort of laughingly said, well, you're not going to turn in 100 signatures because they don't care, right? I said, no, we're not doing any signatures, but I will take your comments. The most common one was, this is, if we pass this is an incentive to shop more down the hill. My personal example, I do this kind of thing too. I think that's neat when you can show somebody what the differences are. And sometimes it does pay to just stay here because it's too expensive to drive down the hill. But I did a minor construction project for a neighbor that needed some help and saved $55 on a $120 job by shopping down the hill instead of Foothill Lumber. And I walked in there and I told him, I said, I just can't buy this here because this is what the difference is. And I showed him our materials list and he goes, I don't blame you, a lot of people do that. So it's not the same as buying a few groceries and some other things. There's a lot of things that we buy that you just can't get here. Secondly, this was an interesting comment. I heard this more than once. If the businesses were more like the places I like to shop, I wouldn't mind paying more in taxes, but they're not here. And what are we doing to get those kinds of businesses here so that there is more incentive for us to shop here at stores we like to shop at instead of going down the hill? And the last thing was, I don't remember who told me this, but if this goes to a vote and it fails, you will all sit here and say, we can blame the people because they didn't pass this tax. Kind of makes sense. I think it's unfair. We have to wait and see. We have to vote on it. We got to wait and see. But I'm just collecting some information and passing it on. I'm not saying I'm for it.
Anybody else? Okay. Yes?
Yeah, we can, it's not to look to blame somebody, it's to give the people that right to say yes or no. That's the whole. They vote no, it's not gonna point at them and say, well, gee, it's your fault. That's, that's kind of struck me a little bit.
Mr. Colton, Mrs. Jones, any comments? Mr. Boland? Okay, then I'll entertain a motion.
And this is a two-part. You have a motion and a second to waive the reading of the entire ordinance.
Of course.
And on that, we'll do a roll call. Councilmember Boland?
Well, we have to.
Do you want to do them both? Oh, nobody made a
Not
motion.
been any motion
Yeah,
yet.
we haven't done
Jumping
the motion
ahead,
yet.
sorry.
I'm waiting for the motion.
Sorry.
Who's making the motion?
Still thinking about it,
I'll make the motion
Thank you, John.
that we accept the reading of the ordinance, and then we also accept the issue 7.
7F and waive reading of
Right.
ordinance 540.
And the reason I'm making that motion is because I think people need to have that right to vote.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Culleton. Roll call, Madam Clerk.
Okay, roll call on 7F. Councilmember, Vice Mayor Boland?
Oh.
Councilmember Culleton?
Yes.
Councilmember Jones? Councilmember Rawlings?
Yes.
And Mayor Lauder?
Yes, aye. Okay, now we'll move to council communications and council oral reports on the representation on committees, and local activities. Who's up first? Boland?
Got to work with the bargaining groups. That was a very interesting event. Had a great time and learned a lot. Also, the outside merchandise ordinance thing. Again, a very good time to work with businesses and come up with a proposal that works, and hopefully it find in the Planning Commission. Very good. Also went to the Day of Prayer at the park, and good. Oh, did you? Anyway, that was a very good event also.
Mr. Rollins?
Yes, I did miss the Day of Prayer in the park. I was out of town taking care of a friend whose sister had passed away. However,
Make you feel bad.
no, it's a very good, event. I attended it last year, and I'm glad that I'm able to go and represent us. I didn't attend any other meetings other than the fact that I did read a proclamation by the mayor, by the city of, by our town of Paradise, for the mayor at the Chocolate Fest. And that went pretty well, with the exception that I looked up to take a look at the paper I was reading off this piece of paper from, and I skipped a line and forgot to mention one of the participants, whom I apologize to later. But anyway, it went well, and the Chocolate Fest, I understand, went well, and it was my pleasure to get to represent our town in the mayor's behalf.
Thank you for doing that.
Well, I went to BCAG and Buchanan Air Quality meeting in Orville last month, and, general thing, the only good news that really coming out of there is that air quality, they submitted a bunch of letters and things, and the State Air Quality Resource Board is relaxing some of the diesel regulations. Our local Butte County Air Quality District had made some recommendations to them, and they accepted most of them, so. And then I attended the Chocolate Fest as a Chocolate King candidate. The Rotary candidate, John Jans, was the winner. Sharon McKee, the proclamation, won the Queen contest. And it was, it was a fun time for all.
Any comments on Gold Nugget Days, because that also...
Oh, yeah, Gold Nugget Days was in there too, yeah. That was a lot of stuff going on there, and, I had the great good fortune to be asked to be the announcer at the parade, and I invited Matt Bond from KHSL to co-host of that, and we had a great time. It was, this is always hectic. The weather played a little bit of a, and it's like everything else in this community, there's only so many Saturdays, and, other fundraising events are growing, there's only so much money, it's difficult for nonprofits trying to raise funds out there. A lot of competition to get the same dollars. That's what I know, and other than that, I'm here. Oh, wait, one other thing. The next League of California Cities Sacramento Valley Division meeting will be in the city of Davis on May 30th.
That's the People's Republic of Davis.
That's where it will be, and they're going to have some speakers on the water issues, and there's a meeting this Thursday and Friday, all-day meetings and tours in the city of Reading, Water Quality Control Board, and one of the issues they're looking at is the damage done by marijuana cultivation operations.
I attended the Butte County Water Advisory Committee as the Paradise representative. Interesting meeting. I learned a lot. Not much of it applies to Paradise. The main subjects were groundwater well monitoring, and none of the wells that they monitor are in Paradise. They don't have any. And sustainable groundwater management, which since groundwater doesn't really apply to us either, but it was quite interesting. I also supported the Gold Nugget with the parade entry, Gold Nugget Days. And I mentioned that I had a meet and greet booth at the Chocolate Fest, and I wanted to let the town staff know that I I had a couple stop by who walks the Paradise Trail every day, and they had compliments for the town staff on the maintenance of that trail. They just thought it was wonderful.
Terrific. It's always nice to hear. Nice things about getting out there in public. Get to hear from people besides Ward. No,
Been saying positive
no,
things,
but he's the only one that comes regularly and has something
And
to
has
say.
positive things, yeah.
Positive or
It's
negative.
appreciated, I'll tell you that.
Sometimes you have to do a little outreach, so. I had a LAFCO meeting, not terribly exciting, other than to report because the state has kind of counted all the people in Butte County, and according to their calculations, our share, because Paradise has not grown and some other places have, or maybe Paradise has gotten smaller, our piece that we pay to LAFCO actually was reduced a little bit. So,
Buy a fire truck.
you know, yeah.
Not that much.
Saved us about 75 cents, I think. You know, it wasn't much, but nonetheless, you know, it's what it is. Yeah. I attended along with Councilman Culleton, a swearing in of Public Safety Dispatcher Andrea Tureen yesterday at the Police Department, and I believe we may attended another one since the last council meeting, also for another dispatcher. On a good day, I'd be able to give you her name, but yes. Okay, so we've had a couple of new dispatchers come on board, so that's exciting stuff to be able to do that. And other than that, I did go to the Gold Nugget luncheon out of town. Ends my week. They're often working, so that's all I have at the moment. Other than upcoming, we have the Memorial Day ceremonies at the Paradise Cemetery, which I encourage everybody to attend. And then we have we have an LTF meeting, but nobody cares about that but us.
And on that note, I talked to Nessie, I called her because I saw the article in the paper. If anybody wants to help put flags on veterans' graves, they're meeting at 8 o'clock on the 24th. Yeah, on the 24th, so I volunteer, if anybody wants to help do that, I'll be doing it, but the 24th at 8 o'clock, meet at the cemetery at the office, and they'll plot and a bunch of flags.
Are we closed for Memorial Day here? On what day would that be that we'd be closed?
29.
I just wondered because I had a meeting notice from the town manager's office for a budget meeting on that day. It get changed. Good. Okay, because I was going to say that's going to be tough for me to get to that one.
Monday's the 26th.
Okay, so
24th at 8 o'clock.
We're not going to have budget meetings on that day.
okay, all right. Thank you. I'm
We'll
glad
have budget
that's.
meetings every other day for the next 3 weeks.
Yes, I've got 10 budget meetings lined up for the next 2 weeks. That's the joy of being the mayor and vice mayor.
I don't understand why it takes so long.
Oh, we're talking about Memorial Day. Woody and I talked about once getting
Oh, yeah, but I don't think,
so, we were gonna go in and buy the reef, so I'm
invite anybody else who wants to participate.
and kicking some money for a reef to represent our town.
Yeah, every year at Memorial Day, over there in the cemetery, different organizations, like, the Veterans of Wars and just different groups, churches, different groups present a wreath in honor of the veterans. John's a veteran, and so we talked about doing that last year when we attended. So we're going to chip in on one if any of the other council staff get something from Fuller Flowers made up, and we'll place it over there.
I'll go ahead and get one made up and get it.
Yeah.
Let me talk to the Fullers, because I know them real well.
I'll talk to one.
Yeah,
okay.
Okay.
Okay. All right. So that's, and so manager's turn.
Future agenda items?
Yeah, future.
Can I just?
Please.
Again, tonight, someone gets up and says, we license and permit a business in town, and we don't have a license for business. So I just...
Except taxi cabs.
Except taxi cabs, yeah. But that's something you have to do. I'm talking about a citywide business license, so I'd just like to see us revisit that and talk about it, because we don't know who's in town, we don't know what's going on or what they're doing. And I just think it's something we need to do. I don't see why we would not move forward, so.
Psychic, that's exactly, and we need to talk.
Anyway, I'm just hoping in the future we can move forward. I know we've talked about that before, but
Yep, that is going to take a little coordination. I would like to give staff a little time, again, and maybe right after budget.
yes. Yeah, I understand. I think this, start discussions.
Okay.
And no further reports.
All right, then, we are going to get Development Services Project update. I don't see Mr. Baker here.
Mr. Baker is not here this evening. He will be joining us next month and giving us an update and report.
Okay, so we can't talk about a new project on Skyway? Okay. Big Five's been approved by the
Big
tree
Five?
cutting permit's
Yes.
been approved, and are we in plan check?
They are in plan check.
I know we did the design approval of the building, and it looked good, so exciting progress being made in Paradise.
Yep.
Okay. All right, well, we have closed session?
The closed session be on the items listed as 10A and 10B.
Okay, so we're going to closed session. For attending? And is the feed turned off? We have returned from closed session. The town clerk is going to report the action taken.
In closed session, the town council, following a motion by Councilmember Jones, seconded by Vice Mayor Boland, adopted the five resolutions to approve the employee agreements, and that is Resolution Number 1414 for the Paradise Confidential Mid-Management Association, Resolution 1415, an agreement with the Paradise General Employees Unit, Resolution 1416 relating to employment for the Paradise Management Group, and Resolution 1417 approving an agreement relating to employment for the Paradise Police Mid-Management Unit, and the final one was Resolution Number 1418 approving an agreement relating to employment for the Police Officers Association. All agreements are effective July 1st, 2014, and will continue through June 30th, 2015. And the vote was unanimous. The roll call vote was unanimous. And no action was taken?
A direction was given on the Kalunky lawsuit to the town attorney.
Multiple pens.
No, the pens.
And we can sell them on eBay.
She didn't give me a good pen to sign with,
Yeah,
and
this
the
junk
ballpoint
pens.
pens won't sign on
Junk
these
pens.
documents. They're junk.
Junk pens.
I want a gel pen.
Come on, junk pens.
Sorry.
Black ink, junk pen.
The count.
So one of the documents, the police mid-management.
Oh, yours.
We're done. And we are,
Won't talk to you if we leave.
we are adjourned?